What's going on, fellow A-plusers? It's your boy Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today over on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch and Twitter. Definitely check us out every Sunday live for you guys. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be breaking down for you guys. Spider-Man 4 is officially in production. We're going to talk a little bit about that. What is the future of Marvel Studios holds now that we're done with Fantastic Four and we're looking forward towards the Avenger films? We got a brand new writer announced for James Bond, a ton of fantastic news, some honorable mentions, and your live viewer questions. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of A-Plus Hero Report. This beautiful Sunday here in Fort Worth, Texas, streaming for you guys live today, at least for myself, Stuart, the man with the plan, always here. Certainly good to see you, buddy. How's the Bay Area treating you this week? No tsunami warnings over there?
Surprisingly, no. It was weird because, beginning of the year, I don't remember when exactly, but there was a tsunami warning earlier this year, like before the earthquake in Russia. So, yeah, we were kind of expecting another tsunami warning after that whole thing hit. But yeah, so far, no. I think we're doing fine here in San Francisco.
How far are you from the beach?
Oh, literally, it's in walking distance from my apartment. So about a mile, I want to say.
How high up are you? I'm just curious. What floor are you
on? There's a decent amount of hills. Oh, and in terms of the building I'm in, oh no, I'm on the bottom floor. Yeah, it's not like a multi-story. Or it is a multi-story. There's like one on top, but like that's about it.
If a tsunami hits, are you safe where you're at?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I am.
Okay, cool. Just double checking. So anytime I get a tsunami warning for the Bay Area, Stuart, just know I'm gonna be texting you, buddy. Like, hey man, get to high ground. I don't know what high ground looks like for you, but get there quick.
San Francisco, there's a bunch of high grounds.
There's
like
so very hilly.
Hills. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But it's good to see you, man. I hope you had a fantastic week. How's the movie business treating you at the theater?
Oh man, just tiring is pretty much all. Just it's been, which is good because it means that it's been busy, and it means that movies are doing pretty good this summer.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably I'm sure all this month you guys have probably been just jam-packed with stuff with Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four. So I'm sure you guys stay busy over there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And even the new movie Together has been doing pretty good.
That's right. That did come out this week. I went and saw I Know What You Did Last Summer, just to squeak in one more July movie before the end of the month. But yeah, I think Together literally just dropped this week also to kick off August. It is on my plan of movies to see. I think the girlfriend wants to see that, and she wants to see Weapons this year. So maybe we'll have like a double feature of like horror next week or something like that. Try and catch both movies.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Weapons. Together was pretty good. Like had a very solid
I said it looks good.
Oh yeah, had a very solid story that it was telling in terms of kind of a story about relationships. But then on top of that, I love how the horror aspect, it didn't just kind of rely on spooky ghosts, so like anything can happen for no reason. It was like the very beginning, without spoiling anything, it sets up what the rules are and what exactly is going to happen, but we see it through the perspective of dogs. So we're like, okay, this is what happens with dogs, now we're about to see it through humans. And so that's what kind of makes it really interesting, is this like they do a great job. It's kind of like the movie The Substance. Did you ever see that one?
No, it's on my radar. People had so many great things to say about it, but I never got a chance to watching it.
Highly recommended. That movie was insane.
It's really good.
But yeah, one of the things I liked about it was that it had very established rules, and so I love when movies actually have like rules that they follow, and so when something like kind of breaks that rule, you're like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking very forward to checking out together. I saw it randomly in just a trailer just popped up. I can't remember what movie I was watching when it came on, but definitely caught me by surprise, sort of in that body horror genre of horror movies. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm.
Um, guys, look, as we got six incredible topics for you guys today. We'll kick off the show with some honorable mentions first, and then we'll wrap up with your guys' live viewer questions. So if you want to submit a live viewer question, now is certainly the time. We also have our super chats available if you guys want to donate to the channel. Donate certainly whatever you would certainly like to. Anything you donate certainly does go towards the growth of our channel, and so forth. So super chats are open. Feel free to communicate with us. I think StreamYard has now added like a leaderboard sort of thing. Like you can acquire points for how much activity you have during the live chats, if you will. So remember, at the end of the day, these are simply our A plus opinions. We always want to know yours. So as we go through these topics and we discuss them and talk about them, we definitely want to know your opinions on them as well. So let your voices be heard in the live chat. It would certainly be appreciated. And if you are watching us live, do us a big favor, man. Hit that like button, please. It definitely helps the algorithm, reaches more people. So certainly hit that like button. It's absolutely free. But let's give some love to people that are here in the live chat with us today. We got Enrique Perez in the house. He says, I just saw the official teaser trailer for the upcoming Sony Pictures animated movie Goat. It will arrive in theaters next year. I haven't heard about that. Have you heard about that one, Stuart?
I have not. It's called Goat, you said?
Yeah, like I said, about an actual goat. Is it like the greatest of all time? Play on words. I'm curious.
Maybe it's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat format?
I also saw the new trailers for Zootopia 2 and Avatar 3. They will be arriving in theaters November and December of 2025.
Okay, it's like looks like it's a basketball movie, but with animated animals, and
Yes.
they're doing kind of the I'm gonna call it the Spider-Man style, even though it's been done now in quite a few different animated movies now. But it's kind of like when it's done, kind of the frame rate's done in a way to make it look like stop motion.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Enrique says also confirming Nickelodeon has greenlit the brand new Thundermans movie, now in production filming with the cast featuring Jack Griffo, Kira, and joining the cast of Ariel Winter. Is Ariel Winter very cool? Last Marvel Animations Eyes of Wakanda premiered all episodes and is now on Disney Plus. That's right.
Ooh.
I forgot about that. Eye of Wakanda did drop on Friday, all four episodes. I take it you haven't had the opportunity to check it out either, huh, Stuart?
No, I didn't realize it had just come out. I definitely will though.
Yeah, they went ahead and they dropped it. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I think it's like four episodes. Um, so yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. People have been I haven't got the opportunity to hear anybody talk about it though. So I am curious to give it a shot myself, honestly. I'm trying to find some pictures here real quick, Stuart. Hold on one moment. Um, I probably should have did this earlier. I'm trying to get some of the new pictures for the Spider-Man outfit
Ah.
from Tom Holland.
Oh, that's right. Because yeah, they showed it. They kind of showed it off in the teaser that came out.
Uh, These things won't let me. All right, what do we got next? Finally saw the trailer for the new Digimon animated series titled Digimon Beat Break. It will premiere in Japan in October of this year. That's cool that they got a new Digimon series. I didn't know that. Blossom in the house. What's up, Blossom? Certainly good to see you as always. Ram Jam certainly coming through also. Thank you so much, man. He says, I just got into playing Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions on the PS3. Have you ever played that one, Stu?
I actually never did, but yeah, that one's classic.
Yeah, I hear it's pretty good. I've never played it myself, but um Yeah, video game systems are just becoming more and more expensive. I almost feel like they're like starting to book like before they even growing up, I think they were kind of expensive. Like my grandparents got most of my video game systems for me, and then as I got older, I got a job, I was able to afford them myself too. But now, man, I almost feel like this is like video games become like a societal break almost, in the sense of like it, like if you can afford one, like you're just in a whole nother tier at this at that point of like what you're making financially, just because it just feels like it could be so out of reach just to get a video game system these days. It's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, it took us back when the PS5 came out. It took us forever to get one, just because they kept like constantly selling out.
Yeah, man. So we'll see. I do want to get a new video game system, but it may take me a while before I do.
If you
What
get a
else we got here?
PS5, you should get Baldur's Gate 3, and you totally won't get addicted to it like I was.
Not at all. Not at all. What else we got here? Hunter, what's up, Hunter? What are your thoughts on Snyder Bros saying James Gunn's Superman movie flops? And what is your thoughts on Skywalker?
Oh
Stalking
yeah.
James Gunn. I heard about that. But he wasn't arrested or anything, right? Like he went someplace to go visit James Gunn, and James Gunn wasn't there, so he never got a chance to like actually confront him. Am I wrong in that regards? I remember James Gunn was like, "What happened?" Like he didn't even. I don't even think James Gunn was aware that somebody was stalking or waiting for him. But that's insane to me, Stuart.
Mhm. Yeah, all I'm gonna say is that guy needs therapy, for sure. And also in terms of Snyder Bros saying James Gunn's Superman was a flop, I'm like, you're kind of objectively wrong there, because it like literally did better than Man of Steel, like in the box office, if we're talking numbers. It's great if you like Man of Steel and you don't like James Gunn's Superman movie, totally fine. But like, yeah, that doesn't change facts though.
Yeah, it's a lot of history, like they revisionists, you know what I'm saying? They like to change up the history and those things. But yeah, no, I mean I'm loving what Superman's doing. It's not even done yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it stays in the movie theaters for the rest of August and still continues to bank money. So no, far from a flop. Ram Jam. So Mortal Kombat Trilogy will be a part of the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection that will be coming out. Very cool. And Darth Gutierrez in the household. Hail, brothers. Hell, boys. Chilling. Yeah, good weekend so far, man. Been a good weekend. Been enjoying some SummerSlam. Saw SummerSlam night 1 yesterday. Looking forward to night 2. Um, my son is being picked up by his grandma. I think they're gonna hang out a little bit. Girlfriend's gonna go out for a few hours. Pretty chill weekend. Not trying to spend too much money right now, but yeah, it's been pretty good.
Nice.
For those of you who missed it, over on my TikTok page, I believe also on the Facebook page and Instagram, we did just drop top 5 movies of the month of July via my movie report cards. So I did just go ahead and put down my top 5 movies yesterday over on TikTok. If you guys are watching us over there, interesting month for movies, Stuart. I do want to ask you a question before we get into our honorable mentions. Let's have this discussion. Have you seen Fantastic Four yet?
Yes, I did finally see it.
He did. Okay, so you've seen Fantastic Four and you've seen Superman.
Hmm.
What is the best movie of July?
Ooh, definitely Superman. I really enjoyed Fantastic Four, and even though I don't know if this counts as a July release, Together was also really good. But I really, really just like when I walked out of Superman, I walked out with like the biggest like stupid grin on my face, and like, yeah, that's something I haven't felt in like so long from seeing a movie. And yeah, I guess I'm biased also because I love Superman, and I think that James Gunn just did him justice.
Nice, nice. Do you think it lived up to your uh top 5 most anticipated movies of the year?
Yes, definitely. It was everything I wanted in a Superman movie. So this was, yeah, honestly, this. I have to look back on all the other movies I've seen this year, but right now I think this is kind of my favorite movie of the year.
Wow, I've heard a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say that. I've heard a lot of people say that. Maybe just I've just seen so many damn movies this year. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that Superman's probably like their favorite movie of the year. Top 3 easy for them. Um, for me, if I had to answer the question, I'm probably gonna go opposite. I'm gonna say Fantastic Four. I think for
Really?
me was the better movie. Yeah, it could be maybe it hits a little bit closer to home personally because it's of its family themes with me having a family of my own and a little boy and stuff. So some of the dialogue, some of the lines, some of the stuff that they were really going for when it comes to family really really hit and I think connected with me more personally. um and I just really loved it as a film just together. It just felt very cohesive. The pacing kind of worked for me. I thought the introduction in the beginning of this was a really great launching off point to this world. I think it's just as comic booky as Superman is in the sense of having like an established mole man already in the
Mhm.
world sort of thing, like it's very lived in. Um and so for me, the action pieces, I still think the space sequence that they have, the space chase, is one of the more dynamic things that a comic book movie has done this year. Like it really had me on the edge of my seats. The surfer stuff I thought was really good. I know some people the pacing didn't work for them, or like I heard some people say it was a little bit boring for them. The lulls in Fantastic Four never really bothered me because I thought that they were handled really well in the sense of allowing for character growth and pushing the story forward. So for me, it felt very cohesive and a very all together movie. It does fly by for me in the sense of it only being an hour and 55 minutes. So it's very digestible for me in that sense. I do have my issues with like the fake death of Sue at the end sort of thing. I'm like, it's just a trope I'm just over. Like
Yeah.
we know these people are not gonna die. So that and like the CGI baby stuff. But outside of that, I really had no qualms with it, man. I like it just felt as much as I enjoyed both movies. I think what pushes Fantastic Four over the top for me is just its cohesiveness and um how well executed and put together it was. Whereas for me, Superman felt like there were other characters that I thought were better in Superman's own movie than Superman himself, and it felt a little bit clunky at times in the sense of trying to figure out if it wants to be a James Gunn movie or stick to being a Superman movie, and never really found its cohesive footing for me personally, at least.
Mhm.
But I still enjoyed it. I think James Gunn has better superhero movies than Superman, but I still enjoyed it. But I'm not gonna be mad at anybody else that like Superman over Fantastic Four at all. Like I feel like as lackluster as I thought Jurassic World Rebirth was, I know that there are certainly some people that were really big fans of it. Like however people want to put their top 3 this month, I got no problems with that. I think we got some pretty good movies this month.
Definitely. Yeah, I think okay, so I do have one nitpick though. It's a little bit of a spoiler though for anyone who hasn't seen Fantastic Four. Okay. So in the movie there during the climax, I think that was the one thing I wasn't the big fan of. Specifically two parts of it. One where you have Mr. Fantastic being stretched out by
Mm.
Galactus, and we're supposed to be on the edge of our seat of, oh no, how much can he take? But for me, I was just kind of like, well, in the comics, he can take a lot more, but we haven't established his limits in the movies. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be on the edge of my seat or not. And then same exact thing with Sue Storm when she's like pushing Galactus
Oh,
into the portal. It's like I mean, well, we haven't established what her limit is, so why like are we only now just going, oh no, Sue Storm, this could kill you, this much effort? You know, it's one of those things. I just wish they kind of established it earlier in the movie for both of their
Like
limits, so
power
that way,
limits and stuff.
yeah, exactly. So that way, when we're seeing him getting stretched out, we know, oh, he's never stretched this far before, so we're on the edge of our seats more. Or when we see Sue Storm, like we saw her in the beginning of the movie lifting like a giant like 7 Up what would you call that, like statue kind of thing, and it
Oh
seemed
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
effortless. So if they had like shown her lifting something else heavy and it was actually stressing her to the point where it was like causing her heart rate to like like beat at a high rate like that like worried all the team, and they were like, oh my gosh, if you do this again it could kill you or something along those
I
lines,
gotcha. Yeah.
then I would have been on the edge of my seat during the climax of the film. But because we didn't have any of that for Mr. Fantastic or for the Invisible Woman, I didn't know if I was supposed to be on the edge of my seat or not. The only reason I kind of knew is because they were like telling me in the movie as it was happening, and I'm like, that kind of feels lazy.
I get you. I can roll with that for sure. Give me a second. I'm gonna try and add these pictures real quick. I'm sorry, you gonna say something else too? Yeah, one more
Oh yeah,
thing.
but like that's it though, because like in terms of everything else, like in terms of like you know, like you were saying, I think the family dynamic of the movie was absolutely excellent. I thought you know, we didn't have many action scenes, but the ones that we did have, oh my gosh, they were so much fun though. So it's like I would rather have you know, less action scenes, but each of them be like really impactful than like, you know, a bunch of them and like, you know, kind of having them all be forgettable. And then, yeah, I love that they brought back miniature sets. That's something you don't see in movies often. So it
Oh
was
yeah, that
really
was dope.
cool seeing
That
a
was
guy
really dope.
in a Galactus costume in a city. Like, yes, I want more of that.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to check out Fantastic Four or Superman, please do so. I think Superman is on its third week. I think Fantastic Four is on its second week as of right now. So we'll see how things hold up for both movies financially. But yeah, you can't go wrong seeing either one of them. But let us know your thoughts in the in the comment section box below. What was the better movie for you guys this year or this month, I should say, Superman or Fantastic Four? We definitely want to know. All right, Stuart, let's go ahead and kick this show off, man, with our first segment of the day. And we're going to get into some honorable mentions for you guys, topics that didn't quite make the cut this week, but felt you guys certainly still deserved to know about it. Stuart, you got anything for us today, man?
Nope, I haven't really been keeping up with any like pop culture news.
I got you. Let's see here. This week, a couple of things. I'll try and go through some quickly. I don't have an image for this one, but we have an official title for Meet the Parents 4. Meet the Parents 4 is now going to be titled Fokker in Law. You heard me correctly. Fokker in Law. That's right. So look forward to that one. That one's actually Ariana Grande is going to be in it. It's actually getting made. So yeah. What else do we have on here? We also got ourselves a brand new Conjuring trailer this week. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check it out for yourselves. I'm not gonna bring it up here yet. Stuart, did you happen to catch this one by any chance?
I caught like a glimpse of it, but I didn't watch it all the way through.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good, man. I was not a super big fan of the third installment of The Conjuring, but this one looks like it's getting back to its roots a little bit. This is going to be the last film, at least for the main title of The Conjuring. I think the Conjuring franchise as a whole might continue. I don't know if they're going to do more Nun or more Annabelle stuff, or maybe they introduce somebody in here they can get one or two spin-offs out of. I don't know. But this will be, in fact, the last Conjuring for Patrick Wilson, and I can never remember her actress's name. She's so damn good too. But the trailers look good, man. I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with this one. And Stuart, you're a Star Trek guy, and I've been also meaning to ask this to Will. There was an article this week at Entertainment Weekly where people have been discussing, and this isn't the first time it's come up, but the idea of a Star Trek Year One series, since they have officially cast Captain Kirk in the actor Paul Wesley, who's going to be playing Captain Kirk, I think in Strange New Worlds or something like that,
Mhm.
in the final season, perhaps. Anyway, when that show wraps up, there have been talks of them maybe doing another spin-off series titled Star Trek Year One, where it then follows Captain Kirk's crew, which would technically take place before the original series. Because I think they said the original series picks up sort of like in the middle of their adventure. And so Star Trek Year One would sort of fill in those blanks of the previous missions leading up until the very first episode of the original series. Is that how do Trekkies feel about that? Is that like now you're getting into original story, like, or original series territory here? We don't touch that sort of thing, or do you know if they're okay with that?
I don't know what other Trekkies are thinking. The only real Star Trek channel I keep up with is Trek Culture, kind of like one of the branches of What Culture. And so, like for them, they tend to be pretty optimistic about anything that comes their way, Star Trek related. So I feel like they would probably, and me myself, I too would also enjoy a show like that. Mostly because, like, yeah, we've been introduced. Oh, God, almost all the cast members from the original series have now had a younger version of themselves on Strange New Worlds. I can't think of who we're missing because we got Spock, Uhura, Kirk, Scotty. Oh yeah, we still haven't gotten a Sulu yet. So we still have some characters to introduce. But yeah, I could totally see them going into that direction. Oh, and of course, wow, Dr. McCoy. Of course, we haven't gotten a McCoy yet, which is funny because they just introduced a new doctor onto the ship this season, and because he's like a new intern, I immediately was like, oh, is it going to be McCoy? And it was, and I'm like, oh, I mean, this new guy seems pretty cool, but like, oh, but when are we getting Dr. McCoy? But yeah, like honestly, it wouldn't be my first pick for a spinoff show because I kind of really want them to go back to the post Picard timeline, or just any time during the any time between really the next gen and then Picard timeline. That's just kind of my favorite timeline of Star Trek. So that's kind of where my preference would be. But I also get that there are several decades of Star Trek legacies to make different shows from. So I don't think this is a bad idea at all. It wouldn't be my number one pick, but if it comes out after Strange New Worlds, I will watch it.
All right, Trekkies, let your voice be heard. What would you guys prefer for a future spinoff? Let us know. We also got some Masters of the Universe talk this week. Well, they actually introduced the the intro logo reveal earlier this week, but there was also an article in Collider.com. One of the actresses who's playing Evil Lynn, Allison Brie, she disputes the rumors that Masters of the Universe is going to be too serious. It says, when asked whether the film would be more serious or more campy, Brie seemed to lean towards campiness. She says, "Who said it's leaning a little more serious?" is the question that she asked. Upon hearing that various internet reports have filmed the Peg as more serious take on the franchise, which has traditionally involved sorcery, advanced technology, and wisecracking green tigers, she played it coy, saying, "I don't think they know as much as they think they know." That's all I'm gonna say. So, you have a preference, Stuart? Campy or not campy, or like a nice balance, maybe?
I feel like there's a balance, definitely. I don't want this movie to be like dark and edgy, but like I also wouldn't want it to just like go the Transformers route of like not taking itself seriously at all to the point
Oh,
where it's like, why even bother throwing money into this then? So obviously there's got to be a balance in between. But I hope that I just hope it's fun, and I hope that if we do end up having if there is a campiness to it, it's or sorry, if there is a dark, like serious side to it, it's got a purpose. I think yeah, I think there's room for both. Yeah, not necessarily one over the other. I like the idea of fun, campy, but serious themes.
yeah. I mean, I definitely want them to lean into the cartoon aspect of things, so I don't mind a little campy. I just don't want it completely campy. I do like when the story beats hit. I want them to kind of take those story beats and the mythology and the lore very serious. But then, outside of that, they can be a little bit campy here or there. I mean, I hear I'm still waiting to see more set photos, but I hear like those that people that were at CinemaCon and got a really good insight into the film. I mean, they're saying it's like cartoon accurate in regards to costume design, set designs, and stuff. So I think they definitely will lean into the campiness a little bit. But yeah, as long as there's a little bit of balance, I'm open to it. And then last but not least, the Lord of the Rings of Power is back in the news. Season 3 has begun production, y'all. They went ahead and they had a small little teaser of Sauron's crown being made, getting delivered to Sauron himself. So yeah, we're in the thick of things as of right now when it comes to the Rings of Power. Where season 2 left us off at with Sauron kind of coming to power again, or coming to power, I should say. Now season 3 jumps us, I think, a couple of years ahead into like the darkness has consumed Middle Earth at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with season 3. But filming, or at least production, yeah, filming has in fact begun for season 3.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think that season 2 showed that the show knows how to improve on itself, because I thought season
Yeah.
2 was a lot better than season 1. So I think that there's definitely a good chance that we'll see that improvement continue in season 3.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I've been really hella impressed with season 2 also. I gotta admit. So the fact that they're coming back, they took whatever creative criticisms there were, made their changes. Yeah, it absolutely works for me. So yeah, let us know your guys' level of anticipation for season 3 of the Rings of Power. And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think that will wrap up all of our honorable mentions.
Awesome.
And with that out of the way, let's dive into our main topics for the day. You ready to tackle these with me, Stu?
Always.
Look, man, top story of the week, one that just came actually as of yesterday. Spider-Man Brand New Day is in the news because it is a brand new day for Marvel Studios, that they have a brand new movie in production officially. And as of yesterday, we got our very first look at Tom Holland in his brand new Spider-Man suit. We're also going to talk some God of War television series adaptation, some X-Men here for you guys today, and seeing how bright also the future of the MCU could potentially be. But Stuart, let's kick this off, man, with some Spider-Man talk today. I'm really pumped that this is actually happening. I wasn't quite sure when they pushed back the Avenger Doomsday movie. I thought to myself, for sure, Spider-Man's going to get pushed back also, but they said, fear not, Adam. This movie is going to kick off as originally planned and seemingly still released before Doomsday. So I am kind of curious as to the story beats, the timeline beats, how this certainly works out. This may end up being the third film that gives us a great post-credit scene that would lead us right into Avengers Doomsday. It feels like a lot of the momentum is on Spider-Man Brand New Day's side right now, after fantastic movies in Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. And now as we look forward to Doomsday, which is currently filming with an incomplete script, mind you, now Spider-Man goes into production also, Stuart. As of yesterday, they wind up giving us our very first look at Spider-Man. I was trying to find. Do you have the video, Stu? Oh, you know what? I think I found it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I think I found it. I'm just trying to find the actual video. Okay, here we go. For those of you who missed it, they did have a video that they showed of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, revealing his suit for the very first time. Let me see if I can find it. If I can do this, you here with me, Stuart? Okay, cool.
Mhm.
All right. For those of you who missed the debut, here it is. You know what? I'll actually let me stop this real quick because I want to put on the volume. Here. The bouncing just got me. I was like, all right, my man warming up. He ready. He know the type of moment this is.
We ready?
It's simple, but it's really effective. First off, I was just like, I love the fact that they kept the studio format, like the big hangar, similar to what they did with the revealing of the cast for Avengers Doomsday. It's like they have the camera on the tracker, and it's like it feels like it's coming out the other side in the sense of now that we've wrapped up the casting call here. It's like, oh, by the way, we've got this one last person we want to show, and then it's like Spider-Man reveals himself. So I'm glad that they stuck to the hanger reveal. It works for me.
Mm.
And I will say something too. Tom Holland looks the most grown up he's ever been in his life. I feel like the man is not like he's past his puberty stage. He's finally in adulthood now. Tom Holland looks like a grown man in here, Stuart, to me.
He finally looks his age.
He really does. He just looks more grown to me. Not to say the homeboy's getting old, he's an old man or anything like that now, but it's like we're out of the high school phase. This feels like a college phase Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
So hey, he definitely looks like he's aged up. And how are you liking the costume reveal?
Oh, I love the costume reveal. Like, I love the lighting of the shot, like as he comes in, and then the actual costume itself looks fantastic. Or sorry, because it's Spider-Man, I should say it looks amazing.
Or spectacular.
Spectacular, yeah.
Ready?
But I dig it. It definitely has shades of really the last two Spider-Man comic designs, because that feels very much like a it feels like it's a I don't know. It definitely feels like a little bit of a mix of Toby and a mix of Andrew. It feels like the spider feels like Andrew to me. The costume feels a little bit Toby. Maybe it's the other way around, but I could definitely see the amalgamation of both costumes coming together in this.
Definitely, and I think that makes sense for his character. I mean, those are the two that really mentored him towards his like darkest moment. So it makes sense that he would take some inspiration from the two of them.
Yeah, I kind of dig it. We also have other images because filming has begun. They have already started releasing images from him out on the streets. I'm trying to see if I can also find some. We'll also go through Twitter because Twitter's posted a bunch of stuff. But here's another image out here making the rounds. To people out on New York giving high fives and stuff. There's Tom Holland in the suit. I love the suit. The blues feel a little bit more vibrant, like it's got that shine to it a little bit. So does the red. This looks like classic Spider-Man to me, man.
It's interesting. It doesn't look padded at all compared to like the other suits that he's worn, and I'm assuming it's because this is like very much he's very much like low budget Spider-Man now, back to like scraping together whatever he can to put his costume together. But yeah, it's
it's no more nanotech. It feels like.
Exactly. But yeah, it's interesting seeing this kind of costume for an MCU Spider-Man movie, because I've gotten so used to Spider-Man costumes always like not only being padded, but also being very tech, like filled with different like tech. But I'm not sure if they're going to change any of this in post-production, but I kind of hope they don't. It'd be kind of nice to just see like a superhero on the big screen that you can look at and go, man, I could wear a costume just like that. I could easily see myself as this character.
Rocking his pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't want to say it looks cheap, but it definitely looks like oh god, I'm just like contradicting myself here, because it looks like an actual costume you would see cosplayers wear. It doesn't look like your typical studio Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. So you're trying to find some. Let's see if we got his other ones. Yeah, he's out here playing with the kids. Tom Holland masked up doing some stunt work. There was also, I thought there was a video of people filming on the set too. Oh, what's the? Somebody said, "Oh, look at Spider-Man." That's pretty dope. I've never been on set when or like on a movie set to kind of see how the movie magic unfolds, sort of thing. But that's pretty dope to see it kind of all coming together.
Definitely.
Why did somebody put Watto in this picture? Why is Watto there? But yeah, that's Spider-Man. Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially begun production, y'all. So I was gonna say it's a brand new day for Marvel Studios. But so that's not the only news that we wind up getting here from Spider-Man. We also got an article from the Hollywood Reporter that also man, nobody cares about beef, bro. Let's close this
Where's
ad.
the beef?
Where's the beef? Mark Ruffalo officially returning as the Hulk for Spider-Man 4. Now, we actually reported on this months ago. I believe it was Nexus Point News or somebody else suggested the idea that the Hulk was going to be in Spider-Man 4, and we now have official confirmation for this. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Mark Ruffalo is returning as the Hulk. It says Brand New Day has found a smashing star to join Tom Holland in the sequel. Mark Ruffalo is returning to reprise the role of Bruce Banner, which comes 14 years after the actor joined the MCU in the Avengers. The move had been rumored for a while, but only firmed up as the script came together and as production gears up for beginning this month in England. At the same time, Michael Mando, known for his work on Better Call Saul, is returning to reprise the role of Scorpion,
Yes.
the villain character whom he first played in Homecoming. Is set to return. Holland's Spider-Man films have always paired him with more seasoned actors such as Robert Downey Jr., Samuel L. Jackson, Benedict Cumberbatch, playing key characters like Iron Man, Nick Fury, and Doctor Strange, respectively. Brand New Day, however, is stacking the deck. John Bernthal is also on the call sheet to reprise his role of the vigilante known as the Punisher. It's the character's first big screen appearance in the MCU. The plot details are being kept under the vest, but you can bet that in the mighty Marvel manner, Spider-Man, Punisher, and Hulk will all fight one another before figuring out who the real bad guy is, who the real bad guys are. So that's not the way that this is commented to me. This feels like it's they believe it's a given that these three face off, but not that it's officially going to happen. But it seems like they're suggesting it potentially could be. But yeah, Destin Daniel Cretton is directing the feature. He was most notably known for his time on Shang-Chi, and he's bringing his sensibilities from Shang-Chi over to Spider-Man Brand New Day. So, Stuart, some big announcements here, man. We got confirmation that, yes, the Hulk is going to be in this movie, along with confirming that, yes, the Punisher is also going to be in this movie, but also we seemingly have ourselves Scorpion returning also. I am kind of curious if that means Scorpion's going to be the main villain for this movie. Is him and somebody else maybe pulling the strings behind the scenes? It seems like there's a lot of moving pieces here, because I also think that Mr. Negative might be a villain in this movie. He was rumored to be in here also, yet I don't believe we've had an official announcement yet for Mr. Negative. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm relapsing and remembering an article we talked about. But Hulk, Punisher, Spider-Man, possibly Mr. Negative, definitely Scorpion. We got a lot of characters working their way through here, Stuart. But how do you feel about the news here, man?
I'm loving it. Yeah, ever since the first Spider-Man Homecoming, I've been wanting to see more Scorpion, especially because I really like that actor in Better Call Saul. So him coming back, I think, is awesome. And then yeah, of course, I felt like, you know, the moment you put Punisher and Spider-Man, it kind of becomes like a given that like the Punisher and Spider-Man are going to face off in some way, shape, or form. So I think that like, so here's my kind of prediction of plot elements we're going to get in this movie. I'm basing it off of like different comic book runs and then also the Spider-Man cartoon, which is I think that the Punisher is going to believe that Spider-Man killed Peter Parker, and so this Punisher is going to be going after Spider-Man. Meanwhile, you have the Hulk who doesn't remember Peter Parker at all, and so Spider-Man's probably going to be trying to work with Bruce Banner, but Bruce Banner is like, I don't know you, kid. And then like eventually like Mr. Negative, I think is going to be the main villain. Like, I think Scorpion will be there. I don't think he'll be the big bad, though. I think the big bad is going to be Mr. Negative. And I think that's how we're going to get a Spider-Man versus Hulk fight scene, is Mr. Negative, like, influencing the Hulk's mind. And then maybe in some way, shape, or form, this is what leads to, like, kind of the distrust between the Punisher and Spider-Man in some way. But yeah, like, those are plot elements that I'm thinking we're going to get in this movie. I think that, like, all the pieces that they're putting here are very intriguing, and I'm excited to see like the big picture.
Yeah, I really like your call on some of the plot points that we might be getting in this movie. I really have no idea where we're going here, but I definitely two things. I just need the Amazing Spider-Man cover art to come to life in live action for the Punisher and Spider-Man. Like I need Spider-Man in the Punisher scope. Like I need it to happen. Please make that happen. I am looking forward to having. I think you're right in regards to Mr. Negative turning the Hulk, or at least unleashing sort of that savage side again. There's a part of me that kind of hopes that he stays savage, or at least if he is able to turn back and forth between Hulk and Bruce, then when he does turn the Hulk, like I'm cool with us moving on from the Doctor. I'm cool if we move away from that for a little bit, because I want to see the Hulk throw down again. So I'm definitely expecting a big time battle so far. Yeah, and if anything, I think if there's any intriguing piece to this for me, one is definitely John Bernthal's The Punisher. I am curious as to how watered down he might be in this movie, and I say that in the sense of like, there's a part of me that thinks like I don't know if John Bernthal would return as the Punisher in this movie if it didn't live up to who Frank Castle certainly still is. I'm just wondering, can Frank Castle get through an entire Spider-Man movie without dropping an F-bomb or like cursing at somebody? I am curious to see how they're going to execute that and still allow Frank Castle to be true to himself. So I am trusting that John Bernthal knows what he's doing here in regards to his involvement in this movie. But I think that's the more curious piece, is how do you fit the Punisher into this particular world without it being rated M for mature or rated R type of thing. So we'll see how it goes. And the inclusion of the Scorpion is an intriguing one to me, because we're fresh off of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the animated series, and I thought they did such a good job with the Scorpion in that series that it's almost like they gave that to me as an appetizer course, knowing that they were eventually going to bring him into live action again, hopefully in a bigger position than what we've seen him so far in the past. But the idea of the Scorpion being in here really works for me. I'm just kind of curious as to what his connections are. Is this going to be a case of like the Scorpion's just like the first 5-10 minute villain of this movie where Superman comes in swinging in and kicking ass and taking names and captures him again, sort of thing? Like I am kind of curious as to the Scorpion's involvement here. But yeah, fresh off the animated series, the Scorpion feels like a great opportunity. And I think if anything, the Punisher has me kind of intrigued. But I don't know if there's a brand new day comic book storyline that like encompasses all these characters and they're adapting something for us, or if this is truly just like an original script. But I like all the moving pieces that are going to be in this movie so far.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm guessing, I'm assuming it's going to be a mostly original script with like some elements from a comic book storyline.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some elements that definitely will. Kevin Feige mentioned in an interview that when he goes into Destin Daniel Cretton's office, that he's got a couple of amazing Spider-Man comic books hanging on his wall of like cover art that he wants to bring to life. So I'm assuming
Ooh.
he's doing his reading, and I'm assuming he's been doing his studying in regards to moments that these characters have interacted with Spider-Man before, and maybe came up with a really cohesive sort of script. I remember interviews of Tom Holland and Zendaya being really excited for reading this script. So I'm curious as to what's inside, but they've got a lot of great pieces to make for a great movie, and they still haven't even confirmed for us who Sadie Sink is going to be, and she was
Oh
like the
yeah, I
first casting
forgot.
announcement in this movie. I heard rumors that she's supposed to be playing May Parker or something like that, like
Yeah, like
the daughter of Peter, right?
yeah, which would be cool because we saw her, of course, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So it would be kind of cool to see like kind of an older version of her as well in this movie, like probably like time traveling like from the future or something. Yeah. Oh, also for the Punisher thing of how we're gonna do Punisher in Spider-Man, but keep him like fill in the same, but like also in a PG-13 movie. To that, I say, if they were able to figure it out with the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Abbott Elementary crossover, I think they could figure it out with Spider-Man and Punisher.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm sure they'll figure it out. We got ex Punisher in the house. Speaking of Punisher, what's up? Give us Kitty Pryde as his love interest. Oh, very
I
nice,
remember
very
that was
interesting.
one of the
That would
rumors
be pretty
also of
cool.
who she was playing.
Yeah, they did have that Kitty Pryde rumor for Sadie Sink. Again, I don't think they've officially confirmed who she is. I just know of rumored names. But X-Men are eventually going to be introduced here in some way, shape, or form. Look, Doomsday right now has a lot of the older X-Men involved. Who played Kitty Pryde in the X-Men movies?
Oh,
Do you remember?
looking it up now. I totally forgot.
Wasn't it he wasn't he just in am I thinking of the right person from
Oh
Umbrella
wait,
Academy?
was it Elliot Page?
I believe it was Elliot Page.
Oh, okay,
I believe it
yes.
was Elliot Page. So I was going to say maybe they'll bring back Elliot Page to play Kitty Pryde in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I don't think that'll work anymore. So I don't know. I'm under the impression that like I don't think any new X-Men characters are going to be in this movie. I have a feeling if anything, they might wait for after Secret Wars to give us that younger version of the X-Men characters. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not opposed to it. Ex Punisher for sure.
Yeah.
Enrique Perez says new set photos of Spider-Man Brand New Day has leaked. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I think that's why they wanted to get ahead of it, because they knew that they were going to be filming in public, and it was just a matter of time before people had their cameras out and it was going to take all these images. They're probably like, we need to do something real quick to just like do an official first look at this costume before people get the opportunity to see it in just regular daylight. Like those look like
Yeah.
pajamas.
Because I do think, yeah, when we saw it in like the little teaser that they gave us, yeah, it looked a lot better than the ones that you see from, people with their just, regular phone cameras taking photos. Because, yeah, you're seeing it in a way that it's not meant to be seen. So I think it was like Sony's way of being like, no, we swear the suit does look really good. Look, check this out.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what they were going for. Um, but what else we got here? Marcelino says it's a little strange seeing the whole web shooters exposed.
Oh yeah, I
Please, please do Black Cat. She is long overdue, especially since Spider-Man needs a new love interest. Yeah, I'm still hoping for. I mean, maybe that's who Sadie Sink is playing as Black Cat. She's not my first choice for Black Cat, but I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility as of right now because it's one of those things where it's like they've already announced so many main characters for this movie. Then another supporting character in Black Cat. I'm like, man, now I wonder if this is going to be like too many characters overshadowing each other, sort of thing, or if they can make it work. If Sadie Sink is Black Cat, then I'm like, okay, we've already at least technically announced her, but like somebody additional to play Black Cat. I've always wanted to be Sydney Sweeney personally, but I don't know. I don't know,
I
but
don't think that's
I
gonna
would agree
happen
with you.
now.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen now. But Black Cat, I definitely need a Black Cat in the Spider-Man movie ASAP. I see many fans want Brand New Day to drop Smart Hulk and go back to Savage Hulk. I doubt it, but I do think Hulk will be recast after Secret Wars.
I think a lot of
Um,
characters are going to get recast after Secret Wars because it sounds like they're doing a soft reboot afterwards.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe they'll explain that Scorpion's origin was done off screen during his absence. Maybe. Some people think that Scorpion isn't main villain potential, but that he works better as a side villain. They may get their wish here. Um, I wish we could bring back Donald Glover back as Prowler and set up Miles. Yeah, I think Kevin Feige in a recent interview said, Sony's not allowing them to touch Miles Morales, so I doubt it.
Yeah, besides the Prowler's locked up in the Spider-Man what do they call it where all the Spider-Man in the multiverse are? Like they didn't call it the
So,
Council of Spider-Man in the
I
movie.
don't
Sorry,
remember.
it's Spider-Man
Yeah, I
across
know what
the
you're talking about.
multiverse. Okay,
I don't
I
know what that
forgot.
name was though. Yeah.
But last we checked, he's still locked up there, so it wouldn't make sense for him to be in this movie.
But yeah, guys, a lot of big moving pieces here for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, the movie's less than a year away. It's supposed to come out in July of 2026. So yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the brand new costume. But the costume really works for me, man. It is interesting that some people have I've heard some people be very negative towards the Tom Holland Spider-Man recently, or at least Spider-Man Homecoming a little bit. I'm hearing people say that they don't think Spider-Man Homecoming was as good of a movie as people say that it is, saying that's like the worst of the Tom Holland movies. Um, but I don't know what it is. When it comes to film Twitter, man, I feel like nobody can agree on anything anymore these days, unfortunately.
I
But
mean, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if the only issues that no one agreed because I love it when people disagree because it makes things more fun. But I hate when people are loud about it and they're very objective about their opinions, as if like their thoughts on how they see like like if they're talking about Spider-Man Homecoming, they're like, oh, this was objectively a bad movie, and if you liked it, you're dumb. That's the kind of shit that I hate.
yeah, I'm not a really big fan of that either. But I am excited to see what this movie turns out to be. The costume looks fantastic. I am kind of glad that we are fully feeling like Spider-Man is finally on his own footing. The idea of people not knowing who Peter Parker is or if Peter Parker even existed, that's really fascinating to me too. So I'm curious to see how they navigate this. I gotta say, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Tom Holland to me is our de facto greatest Spider-Man of all time right now, Stuart, to me personally. And I only say that in the sense of, I mean, this is going to be his fourth movie.
Yeah.
that we've been with this guy. And I feel like we're about to get ourselves an entire new trilogy with him too. And if Tom Holland pulls off having 6 Spider-Man movies, I don't know how we can argue that there is a better Spider-Man. But we're not there yet. But the fact that Homeboy has gotten a fourth one, I think, says something in regards to his popularity.
Yeah, not only 6 Spider-Man movies, but I mean, as of now, he's appeared in 3 other non-Spider-Man Marvel movies. So, yeah, even on top of that, it's like he's already been played Spider-Man for in more movies than any other live action Spider-Man actor.
Yeah, that's pretty bananas. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. All this stuff happening for Spider-Man brand new day. Apparently they have a huge stunt that they're going to be working on set. It says according to Glasgow Times on Twitter, nearly 60 roads will be closed in the city for the filming of brand
Wow.
new day. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a huge action piece. To me, that feels very much like a Hulk rampage, like
Also,
60 blocks. Yeah.
I'm just now noticing, I think there's a big delay when we're talking because I've noticed that there's kind of a big pause like after I finish a sentence where you'll say something, or like I'll be saying something like while you're also saying something. I don't know. It seems like there's a little bit of a delay, I think.
Really? I feel like I'm hearing it just fine, but I mean, yeah, maybe there is one. I don't know. If you guys hear a delay, in let us know in the comments.
Actually, that one was a lot faster, so maybe not.
We did have less connectivity here just a second ago, so it could be a little bit pausing here and there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All right, guys, but yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to the first look at the brand new Spider-Man suit. Did it live up to your expectations? Are you hyped and psyched for this moment here? Fresh off of Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, what's your anticipation level for Spider-Man? Let us know. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic. As Marvel Studios is back in the news, good old Kevin Feige out here. We got some movies that are high priority, some movies that are low priority. Now that Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four are out of the way, we're headed towards Avengers. What comes next, Stuart? Well, Variety.com had a fantastic interview and a breakdown in regards to the next moves. So let's get everybody up to date. This comes to us from Variety. It says Marvel's next moves. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a look ahead in 2026 and 2027 going forward. But it says Marvel's next moves, Black Panther 3 and a young X-Men cast to keep the costs down. Things like a Blade and a Deadpool 4, though, are lower priorities, Stuart.
Mm.
Um, could have been worse, could have been better. That's the collective takeaway on the Fantastic Four first steps, which pulled in $218 million globally following its opening weekend. But as with Superman 2 weeks prior, the movie overseas haul 100 million, offers a stark reminder of how much things have changed since COVID days and where the tripwires lie for Disney-owned studio, which has ambitiously planned for 2 Avenger movies in 2026 and 2027, respectively, followed by an X-Men reboot further out on the horizon. Let me go ahead and bring this down. We'll get into. He says there's a reset on what a hit is, and I don't see them consistently hitting 1 billion as before without China. With Disney Plus exposure post COVID, without megastars, says one of the top agents who represents several clients in the Marvel Universe. China used Marvel, Disney, and the US film industry to seed their own. Adds one insider on the lost China windfall. We are never going to have those days again. So they're immediately suggesting that the mindset of us, holding these movies to the quality of $1 billion. That's never going to happen anymore, Stuart. Those times have passed. The way that China is not really receptive to our movies as much anymore now, post COVID and things like that. The dynamics have certainly just shifted, is what they're suggesting here.
Mhm.
It says that reality has changed the calculus at Marvel, led by Kevin Feige, when it comes to making a movie like X-Men. Thunderbolt's Helmer Jack Schreier is set to direct the tentpole. Casting will begin soon, and the field is wide open. But Marvel has indicated to reps that it is looking for younger talent rather than A-listers to keep the costs down, says another agent. Marvel is holding on to a July 2027 date on the release calendar, but sources say it won't be filled by X-Men, and Marvel declined to comment for that story. It says Matt Shaxman's Fantastic Four, who had his mark on the small screen, talking about Pedro Pascal from The Mandalorian and The Last of Us. He hasn't yet scaled to the same big screen heights as the Endgame ensemble, and that helped keep the Fantastic Four budget manageable. Disney hasn't given a precise figure on the film's budget, only pegging it somewhere north of $200 million. Sources say that Downey Jr. has earned between 500 million and 600 million over the course of 7 Marvel movies. Also, Chris Hemsworth isn't working at a discount for Doomsday, who's set to return as Thor. Regardless, the tentpole is scheduled to open December 18th. Wall Street is keeping a close eye on Marvel as elements of its expanded portfolio fall into place. Marvel is a critical piece to Disney's overall premium IP, and the stronger Marvel is, the better it is for the overall company. The recent studio momentum has allowed Disney to help drive subscriber growth at Disney Plus and see the overall Disney flywheel start to accelerate again. Oh, here we go. It says there won't be much to analyze for the next year. The next Marvel movie to hit theaters is going to be Brand New Day on July 1st, followed by Doomsday in December, and then Avengers Secret Wars December 2027. Amid an industry-wide pullback on superheroes, the Marvel Brain Trust is feeling no sense of urgency on the long gestating Blade reboot or even a new Deadpool outing, sources say. However, ideas are percolating on a Ryan Coogler helmed Black Panther 3, creating excitement internally. Trying to see if there's any other valuable piece of information in here. Doesn't look like. For superhero watchers, good is the new great, as the genre finds its footing after a cold streak that included Marvel misfires like Thunderbolts, which I don't think that's a misfire, and the Marvels, as well as a batch of duds from DC.
It's like weird because I feel like just like a little bit ago, Marvel was bragging about Thunderbolts. Like, yes, this is the quality we're going for. But now when it gets brought up in conversation, they're like, oh, yeah, it was definitely a flop, which I guess, yeah, financially it was. But I mean, critically, I feel like Thunderbolts is like one of the better Marvel movies they've had in a while. Then same with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I don't think that's Marvel saying that they view it as a dud, though. I think this is the article author referring to it as that. It says, for superhero watchers, good is the new great, as the genre finds its footing after the cold streak that included recent Marvel misfires, Thunderbolts, and the Marvels. Yeah, I don't think that's Marvel call. I think Marvel looks as Thunderbolts as quite successful. It does say... Says analyst Sean Robbins, the director of movie analytics at Fandango and founder of Box Office Theory. He says, I think as an industry, we've become very obsessed with opening weekend results, in particular with both Superman and Fantastic Four, because word of mouth is so strong for both. I think the story is not fully obvious yet. Yes, Fantastic Four is good enough in terms of it exceeded what Disney expected. So that's a positive, and it's tough to compare it to any other Marvel films because we simply live in a different time now for superhero releases. Yeah, that's interesting. So first off, I do want to highlight um two things that I do want to highlight. That the idea of where they're looking to for the future. So, Stuart, right now, despite us having waited so long for a Blade movie, apparently that's very much on the back burner for them. That's certainly not like one of their main things that they're trying to accomplish. So it looks like yeah, there's no urgency for Blade or even the new Deadpool movie, which I'm okay with. No recent Deadpool movie as of right now, just because we just recently got one. So while Blade sits on the back burner, same thing with Deadpool, but Ryan Coogler's Black Panther 3 is creating excitement internally. To that I will just say, yeah, I would be excited for anything Ryan Coogler related also. I mean, like literally fresh off of this man's fantastic Sinners movie. Probably might get some level of Oscar recognition by the end of the year. I would be excited to bring Ryan Coogler back into the fold also, especially knowing that I've got uh, Denzel Washington set to return and or not return, but make his debut in the MCU. Him and Ryan Coogler have been very open about wanting to work together on Black Panther 3, so it definitely feels like it's going to happen. But if Ryan Coogler has an idea for Black Panther 3, fresh off of the massive success that he's just had, I feel like you attach Ryan Coogler's name to anything, it's going to draw eyes at this moment. So yeah, I would be probably focusing my attention on something Black Panther 3 related also. With them talking about the idea of a potential soft reboot for the MCU after something like Secret Wars, I do expect an X-Men film to be announced shortly after that. And maybe a Black Panther 3 is one of those films that you can utilize to establish sort of a soft reboot for the MCU. I would also even think like a Blade would maybe even work in that regards. If you want to take the new MCU and sort of introduce us further into the darker elements of vampires, werewolves, magic, whatever the case may be, in that Blade side of things. So, if anything, I am a little bit shocked that despite people having waited for years for a Blade movie and understanding where Mahershala Ali certainly is in regards to waiting for this movie to be made, to say that there's no that like they're not in a hurry to make this movie. It's just like, then why did we even announce this back in 2019 if there was like
Yeah.
no urgency for this to even be a thing? Like, if it feels like two people in a bad relationship that's waiting for the other person to back out instead of like just making it happen themselves. Like Mahershala Ali at this point should just be like, look, this ain't working out. I'm gonna move on. But it almost feels like he's waiting for Disney to say, yeah, we're not gonna make this. It's time for us to part ways. Like nobody wants to break up with the other person. And I'm starting to have my doubts that this movie is even gonna happen, Stuart. But what do you take away from that? The idea that we've been waiting for so long. I'm sure Marvel Studios knows how much we've been wanting a Blade movie, but there's no movement on that, nothing on the Deadpool. But Black Panther 3, yeah, that might be a go soon. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, with Deadpool, I definitely don't blame him for wanting to wait on that one because as much as I love Deadpool and as much as his movies make money, I think it makes sense that they don't want to they don't want to like overuse it, basically make it so it's like now the brand is suddenly dead. I think because the Deadpool movies don't come out super often, that's kind of what makes them one of the things anyways that makes them like huge successes. Prioritizing Black Panther 3, that I don't know how to feel about. I mean, I guess I'll have a stronger view on that when I know what direction they're taking with Black Panther 3, but I just at this point I don't even know what direction they're going to go in with that whole with that franchise now. But yeah, with Blade being put on the lesser priorities, does not surprise me at all after everything, with this movie just being like one of the most production hell type of things. It's just like, it makes sense that after all that, they're just kind of like, look, we're just not going to prioritize it. So we stop getting people's hopes up. So it kind of bums me out because I love Blade and I love vampires. So it's like, I did kind of want to see that, but I can deal with them not wanting to utilize Blade at the moment, and see what else they do in terms of like kind of the horror side of the Marvel universe, because I do want them to start exploring that, because they kind of covered the surface in Werewolf by Night, but yeah.
Yeah, Martinez says at this point, just cancel the Blade movie. Give Ali a big fat royalty check. Just put Blade in other projects and give him Midnight Suns. Yeah, I've been hearing rumors that maybe he might just pop up as the lead for a Midnight Suns movie. I really don't know what direction they go. I think, if anything, I think a Blade, I think a Black Panther 3 fresh off of something like a Secret Wars might work. I mean, right now we still have Letitia Wright who as Shuri, who's still Black Panther. I do wonder if Black Panther 3 takes place after Secret Wars, if maybe that's a new way to introduce us to a brand new T'Challa in some way from the multiverse. I really have no idea, but I think that might be some avenues. If there's like an Illuminati presence in Secret Wars, we know Black Panther's a part of the Illuminati. Maybe there's something that goes on there. Maybe we have, I was going to say, another Wakanda in Atlantean War. I really have no idea what direction they certainly go, but I think they have avenues. But we'll see how it turns out. If anything, Stuart, do you think that the days of billion-dollar movies are over with, or do you think there's still some Marvel movies out there that can hit $1 billion?
I think it can happen again. I think they just need to know what they're. Oh,
No, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think they need to like know what they're building up to next time for the $1 billion success, because I think that like one of the big things that made Infinity. I forgot. I think Infinity War crossed $1 billion. I could be wrong, but Endgame for sure
No, I'm
crossed $1
sure it did.
billion. And the main thing that caused it to cross $1 billion was kind of the build up to it. Yes, you had a couple of $1 billion superhero movies that were standalone, like Spider-Man and Captain Marvel. But for the most part, it was like most of the Marvel movies were just really high grossing films, but didn't really cross the billion until like Avengers Endgame. And that was again because like there was so much buildup. So I think that if Marvel wants to get that $1 billion movie again, they got to use their cheaper movies, the ones that they're kind of implying it's going to be the norm going forward, but use that to build something up going forward. Use that to like, and again, I'm not saying they have to have it all planned out, all mapped out, but they have to have an idea. And it's like they had that in the beginning of Phase 4, and then they just got so much cold feet after like the Jonathan Major stuff. And then if you believe everything that Kevin Feige has been saying in interviews, supposedly they got cold feet before all the Jonathan Major stuff came out. So it's like, I think that was like kind of an immediate plan, is that they didn't know what they were building up to when it came to Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. They were just kind of like ad-libbing the whole thing. So I think that if they want to get that $1 billion movie, they got to go back to like having at least somewhat of a direction that they want the movies to go towards.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do think that movies like Spider-Man Brand New Day will hit $1 billion as long as the quality is there. I think Tom Holland as Spider-Man is super popular, and he is a carryover from pre Endgame stuff. So I do think movies like Spider-Man and I think Avengers, I don't want to say they're automatically $1 billion movies, but I think if there are movies that you can count on to make the $1 billion, it might be those. We know that Black Panther is capable, but without Chadwick Boseman, it didn't make I don't think Wakanda Forever made $1 billion. Somebody double check that for me at Box Office Mojo. Maybe it did make $1 billion. Maybe it just didn't make as much as when Chadwick was there. I'm on. I should probably just look it up myself too. But I do think we live in a world where Marvel can make $1 billion, It's just going to be on the backs of some of the OGs or some of the really familiar names. So yeah, Wakanda Forever did not make $1 billion. Looks like it came out
859 million.
859.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but so I think if there's any two titles that can make $1 billion for Marvel, it's probably going to be Spider-Man along with the Avenger films. But I mean, have times changed, Stuart? I mean, do you think that the days of those happening more often are over? I kind of agree with it. I kind of think that maybe after those Avenger films, I don't know if we see another $1 billion Marvel movie. I
Yeah,
just can't.
I
I can't think of anything.
I just don't think they're going to be as common. I think they're still going to happen. I just don't think it's going to be like as common as it was from phases 1 through 3.
Yeah, no, I get you. I think so. I think so too. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Times are changing for Marvel Studios. The expectations that I think that they certainly had at the box office is certainly changing. Um, it is interesting to me. People have talked about the fall of the Fantastic Four in its second weekend. I don't know if we've gotten weekend numbers yet for Superman and Fantastic Four at this moment, but they are talking about the significant drop that the Fantastic Four certainly might make, and kind of the changing of the guard of DC, like now making and outpacing Marvel movies in regards to making more movies, making more money at the box office. Um, I am curious if I am curious as to where the DC studios will go. I have a feeling Supergirl, if it improves upon what Superman did, I think there's a possibility that Supergirl could make more at the box office than what Superman is making. But Superman is such a big name. I would be curious if this is the most that a DC Studios movie will make, or if they will find some level of momentum and just build off of each other as the quality continues to get better and better. I'm just I it is just interesting to see where Marvel finds itself at. Like, have the expectations changed for just Marvel, or is DC now trying to eye the idea of $1 billion, right? Like, maybe sometimes Marvel has just been on top for such a long time that maybe it's time for it to move to the side, not have those level of expectations on Marvel Studios like we once had. And maybe people are just more hungry for another studio right now, Stuart.
I don't think it's going to be like the $1 billion franchises are going to go to DC. I think that movies are going to be probably as successful as Marvel. I think they will have $1 billion movies. I think like, if they're building up to Justice League, which it sounds like they're doing, especially from some recent interviews with James Gunn, I think that's where the $1 billion movie is. And I think that as long as they're smart about it, as long as every movie individually before we even get to Justice League is good, which is again what James Gunn seems to be going for, is that like every individual movie works on its own and isn't just there to set up the next movie. I think that we're in for, I think that like DC isn't going to have like as many $1 billion hits as Marvel did in its like kind of golden years of Marvel. But I think that they're going to get, modest success if they're smart about how they budget the movies, which is, I think, something that if Marvel were to learn anything from DC, it's that like not every movie they do needs to be a $300 million film.
Right.
I think that's one thing Marvel should start considering is like, rebudgeting how they do their movies. And then also, the other thing to take away from DC, cough, cough, Avengers Doomsday, maybe don't start filming your movies until you have a complete script. Yes, it worked for Iron Man. Iron Man was a miracle, though. So I just because it worked for Iron Man does not mean it's going to work for every movie, you start filming afterwards. Like we've seen some past results where it just isn't working for them. So I think that now that they've kind of seen that there's like kind of less, they're not getting as much income, they're starting to, They're not, getting the $1 billion hits. I think that they should take that as a sign of, okay, for one, we need to start rebudgeting these movies. And then the other thing is too, we need to start actually making sure the script is like ready to go before we start shooting, kind of like, again, what James Gunn is doing. I think if I were to predict, though, if I were a guessing man, financially where both are going to be, I think DC is going to be a bit more successful from Marvel because they're going into their movies with this mindset, whereas Marvel is kind of adjusting to this mindset. So I think that we're going to see a little more success from DC than Marvel, but I don't think either of them are going to have too many $1 billion hits.
Yeah, I guess if anything, I will be curious to see where the Fantastic Four. Real quick, I do agree with you. I think those are really two big things. One in the sense of Marvel having to get its scripts ready to go before production even begins, and the idea of rebudgeting their movies. I think those are really two big things that they will probably look at kind of going forward. So I certainly agree with you there. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. If anything, I am curious to see what the end run for Fantastic Four will certainly be. I definitely expected it to make more than Thunderbolts, but now I'm like questioning if that's even gonna happen or not, which is kind of crazy to say. Thunderbolts only made $384 million. And Fantastic Four, I think, is just as good of a movie. And so I'm just sitting here trying to figure out, like, well, how much money will Fantastic Four wind up even making here? I think even my lowest estimates, like, I think they're even going to be lower than my lowest estimates for this movie, which is kind of crazy. I just hope this movie certainly has legs because it's the quality is there. It's just how people are feeling about going to the movies to see a Marvel movie, which is even crazy to even say, to be honest with you. But times are changing, Stuart.
I think the problem is, and I'm not talking about people who like go to see like superhero movies often. So I'm talking about just super casual audiences. They tend to only see one movie a month. So I think that if Fantastic Four isn't doing like huge numbers, I think it's partially because it was just released the same month as Superman. I think if they had released it in August, it probably would have done better, or even June. Either month probably would have been better than July.
Yeah, I mean, because you're already going up against Jurassic World, which made a buttload of money. The movie just crushed it. And then you had Superman, which also crushed it, right? So you're already asking the general audience members to come back to the movies for a third time when movies are already expensive as it is. It feels like the family outings had their family outings for 2-3 weeks already, even prior to going into something like Fantastic Four. And maybe it was just a really bad release date schedule, in a sense that I agree with you. Maybe if they push this to August, maybe even September, November, who knows? If they weren't 2 weeks separated from Superman and in a very busy summer blockbuster month for the movies, then yeah, maybe better placement in the year would have had a different result. But I guess we'll see. We'll see where Fantastic Four ends. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on the projects Marvel is looking forward to going forward, along with their new strategy when it comes to financial expectations for these Marvel movies. I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic as we continue to look forward to the future of the MCU. And this time around, we're going to get into some X-Men talk, baby. That's right. We're getting closer and closer and closer. We just heard that Marvel is looking at eyeing a younger X-Men team here after the Secret Wars sort of MCU reboot that's about to unfold. While we do have a lot of the Fox stars coming back for Doomsday and Secret Wars, after that, it looks like we're going to be getting ourselves a much younger X-Men team. What does that team look like? We still don't know, but Jack Schreier is in the news this week as he's given us some details in regards to his upcoming X-Men movie. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This comes to us from theplaylist.net. They had a great article here for Jack Schreier himself. Let me see if I can pull this up here, Stuart. There we go. Thunderbolts director Jack Schreier calls X-Men inherently interesting and complex material as he preps Marvel's mutant revival. Filmmaker Jack Schreier ascent has been quite deliberate and now increasingly impossible to ignore. A director who's long moved between intimacy and scale. Schreier first made his name for himself in the indie space with Robot and Frank and the quietly affecting YA adaptation Paper Towns, but it was his work on Netflix's Beef, directing the early tone-setting episodes of Lee Sung-jin's Rage Fuel character study that introduced Schreier to the broader audience and revealed a director with a striking command of emotional dissonance, tension, and character complexity. That work earned him a Primetime Emmy nomination for outstanding directing and, more importantly, seemed to crystallize the through line of his career and interest in people on the verge. The preoccupation carries over to Thunderbolts. It says it talks about its lineup a little bit, yada, yada, yada. He says, and Marvel clearly took notice, speaking just days ago about the future of mutants in the MCU. Kevin Feige confirmed the long rumored Schreier's X-Men will be a younger, more emotionally grounded take on the franchise. Jack's going to make a youth-focused reboot, is what Kevin Feige said. That may be reflected in mutant castings, and it'll definitely be felt in tone and perspective of the film. In other words, this isn't your Gen X X-Men, and you should adjust your casting expectations. Interesting. And yet, for all its psychological texture, the Thunderbolts may be a prelude to Schreier's most high-wire assignment yet, Marvel's X-Men reboot. Long rumored and much anticipated, the project is still cloaked in secrecy, but Schreier's involvement is genuine and, based on our conversations about Thunderbolts, already quietly in motion. He says, I mean, yeah, without giving into too much, really almost any detail, what can I say is it's just inherently interesting and complex material. That word complex resurfaces often in his framing of X-Men, and not without reason. He seems drawn less to the iconography than to the metaphorical and interpersonal underpinnings of the property. It goes on to talk a little bit about the X-Men in general have served as potent metaphor for marginalization, mutants as stand-ins for the persecuted, the misunderstood, the othered, whether read through the lens of civil rights, queer identity, or generational alienation. The stories have always reflected societal anxiety about difference and acceptance. And in that sense, the franchise doesn't just invite emotional and political complexities, it demands it. He says the core idea of what X-Men is involves complexity. That's an incredible opportunity with super interesting characters and much internal conflict. These characters are wrestling with their identity and place in the world. That's inherently interesting and complex material. He says, when asked if Marvel's take will be recognizably different from what came before, he nodded carefully. He says, yeah, I think that's fair to say. There's that red sniper dot out there somewhere, but to be able to explore all of the ideas that are inherent to that rich source material, but also the scale inherent to the source material, that's like a very rare and fortunate opportunity. That's very exciting, is what he says. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. It was like a huge crash of thunder outside. It scared the hell out of me just now. I think you're muted. I was like, what the hell is that noise? Freaked me out. I'm sorry. But yeah, Stuart, what do you take away from here? That they're interesting, inherently interesting, complex material, that they're definitely going to be going younger, that the core idea of the X-Men involves complexity, incredible opportunity with super interesting characters and much internal conflict. They're wrestling with their identity and place in the world. It's inherently interesting and complex material.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, honestly, like in terms of them casting young and the reasoning for it. Because yeah, I think that's one thing that with the comic books, people always enjoyed about it was that, like, the characters, they had their own personal problems, their own like issues that they were dealing with outside of being a superhero. And that's kind of what popularized the formula. Like X-Men and Spider-Man are what really popularized that formula of like making superheroes something that like the reader can relate to. I think that like X-Men was like kind of the perfect like comic book when it came to doing like not only relatable dramas but also like really well done like poignant social commentary and that kind of stuff. So I think that if as long as like the movie kind of captures all that, I think I love I'm excited to see what the X-Men are going to look like in the MCU, first of all. And I love that like before we're even getting this, we're still getting a really nice send-off to the Fox X-Men that came before. I think the only thing is like they mentioned it being grounded, which I'm all for. I just hope that with that grounded, they're still not afraid to have some fun. I think honestly, kind of the best movie to explain like the kind of tone I would love to see with this is Fantastic Four, like the recent Fantastic Four movie, how we had a great family dynamic between all of them before we got to the big climactic battle. And I would love to see that with the X-Men. I would love to see them, getting an on-screen like chemistry that's so entertaining on its own. We don't even need like the super villain conflict, but then having the super villain conflict on top of that to just add to the drama and then just make things give you even more reason as an audience member to really root for the heroes. Yeah, I so far I'm liking everything I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm really liking everything that I'm hearing too, and I do think that they've got the best director to handle this. Moral complexities just sound perfect for me, considering just how inherently different they are. I really hope that they tap in, similar to what Jack Schreier was able to do with the Thunderbolts in regards to like that mental awareness, mental illness sort of theme that they're going for in here. If he can kind of strike that same chord with the idea of being the others, kind of like in society, and how not only do the mutants handle it, but how society as a whole handles them being mutants. I really do think that they've got a great director in the sense that somebody that can get really personal with the characters on a much more intimate level as a director, but also be able to open up and have these like big scale sort of action sequences and battles to really hit um just I don't know, just hit different dynamics for what this movie could potentially be. I am still curious as to like what lineup we're getting, what like costumes we're getting, like what era of X-Men do they want to go with? I mean, he talks about the idea like if you were expecting the Gen X X-Men in here, maybe tamper down your expectations a little bit. So I'm like, are we not doing the 90s X-Men, the bright colors? Are we doing a more like early mid 2000s kind of run on the X-Men a little bit, more sci-fi elements, maybe not so comic booky. Like I've been asking for like an Age of Apocalypse adaptation. I don't know if we're gonna get that. Like what core group of X-Men are you gonna plop in front of us, sort of thing? Like are they gonna be more modern versions of the X-Men, like Laura as Wolverine instead of an actual Logan as Wolverine? Are we going to get some like new mutants from today's current iteration of comic books? Like there's just so many directions that they can kind of go. But I am curious as to what that's going to look like. I think from a story perspective, well, I don't know who the writer's going to be, but I would assume that Jack Schreier would include some of his thoughts and ideas into the script, along with the writer that we certainly have. So, from an emotional, character driven perspective, I think they're going to do amazing work here. If anything, I'm just more fascinated to see. Like they seem to understand the characters that we're going for here, but I am just kind of curious as to what era or what the cast is gonna really look like in regards to who's going to be leading the team. So I think that's really what I'm looking forward to next as of right now. But aside from that, I think Jack Schreier continues to say all the right things to show me that he understands this group really well.
Yeah. For me, I hope it's the original, not the original lineup, but I do hope it's kind of like the more classic 90s lineup, from the X-Men animated series. Just because I feel like that's the one that like fans really cling to. And I think that if you're gonna like kind of open up a franchise, you should start with something like, somewhat familiar to get the fans interested. And then, if you want to introduce other mutants, well, that movie's kind of your opportunity to like open up like the X-Men could almost be a cinematic universe of their own. And I think that a first X-Men movie is like the great way to open up that door. And then that's where you can do like the spin-offs with some of the more modern mutants and, that kind of stuff. At least that's how I would do it personally.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I mean, look, we already have an X-Men 97 animated series out there that's kind of already focusing on the X-Men as in the 90s. So do you just hop on board that train and just create more 90s X-Men for live action, or do you keep that solely to the animated side of things? For the longest time, I was very much supporting the idea of like I want the original 5 X-Men, like in their sort of human form, like pre second mutations for some of them. Like I would love to go back to that 1960s Stanley Jack Kirby kind of designs for the X-Men, maybe a little bit more modernized, human beast, angel with actual angel wings. I wouldn't mind them going that route, but a much more modernized version of them, maybe with like Gen Z attitudes. I don't know, personality traits. I really don't know. So I don't know. I think they have a lot of interesting directions that they can go. We'll see what we wind up getting from them, though. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Ram Jim says, "I hope we get to see the X-Men in their iconic costumes." I would just when I think of iconic costumes, I do think like the '90s brand. Which X-Men comic do you want to see adapted next for Jake Schreier's X-Men movie? I don't know if they're going to adapt the storyline or not. Maybe this is like another origin story in a sense for the X-Men, since we're going to be kicking them off in the brand new MCU. Maybe we do need an origin story aspect there, but I don't know. Many fans are hoping they move away from Magneto since Fox movies rely too much on him and focus on other villains. Rumors have it that Mr. Sinister will be the first villain the X-Men will fight. That'll be cool.
Dang, just like starting with like the most powerful, like I think, like yeah, he's like the most powerful X-Men villain, just starting with him right off the bat.
We got Joe in the house. What's up, Joe? Good to see you out here today. Marcelino says, my friends think that think that the comics with the MCU will adapt will be more modern, like Jonathan Hickman's run. Yeah, they can go that route too. Their House of M, Powers of M, or House of X and Powers of X storyline actually was pretty. Jonathan Hickman always has really interesting runs. His work on creating like having Magneto, Professor X all kind of working together, establishing a land for the mutants to live on, creating like pharmaceuticals to help humanity, whether they extend their lives or fight against diseases and things like that. While the X-Men and their mutants sort of have like a sovereign nation, but they do trading for the pharmaceuticals for humanity and stuff. It was really interesting. I had no problem with them adapting anything Jonathan Hickman, but we'll see. We'll see how modern a take on the X-Men we'll certainly have. But yeah, let us know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section box below. Hey Stuart, do me one quick favor. I gotta bring something in from outside because it just started raining. So I'll be right back. Talk about whatever you want. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. So yes, the news of the X-Men movie does sound very promising. But yeah, honestly, when it comes to most things Marvel related, past Avengers, Secret Wars, I really don't know what to expect. It kind of feels like after Secret Wars, they're really just going to be kind of like starting over. And I think the X-Men are kind of like the right team to do that with, or like the team that you kind of want to be what's pushing the next phases forward, which is, I believe, something that Kevin Feige has mentioned that he's interested in, is the X-Men kind of being the front of the next phases of Marvel going forward. Also, maybe instead of calling them phases, maybe only go by sagas at this point, because I think instead of referring to phases 4, 5, and 6, I kind of just want to refer to this as the multiverse saga as a whole. Kind of like when I refer back to, I think it made sense to do phase 1 through 2 and 3 for like the first beginning part of the MCU, and then having it all accumulate into the Infinity Saga. But at this point, it's like, I think now we should just like start dividing them only into sagas. So we had the Infinity Saga, then we have the current multiverse saga, and then I think that the next saga, it sounds like it's going to be very much the mutant saga. Not to say that only mutants will be included in the next saga, but I do think calling it like the mutant saga would give people a good idea of what we can expect, in terms of the X-Men going forward.
All right. And with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic. Ram Jam says, I would like the original yellow and blue costumes and
Yes.
X-Men be used in the MCU. Very nice. All right.
One of my favorite behind the scenes stories with the first X-Men movie is they wanted to give Hugh Jackman the iconic mask, but like the Fox Studios was like, no, that's going to look silly. We can't do that. So it was Kevin Feige, before he was like a big producer, that came up with the idea of combing his hair that way. So they kind of stuck out like the mask.
Nice. So that was Feige's idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked for me. It worked. All right. Next up, we're gonna go to the video game side of things, as the video game adaptions are taking hold. God of War is in the news. Supposed to be coming to us from Amazon Prime Video. The showrunner, Ronald D. Moore, most notably known for his time on Battlestar Galactica, one of the greatest sci-fi television series of all time. If anybody likes diving into mythology and lore and creating worlds surrounding them, it is Ronald D. Moore. And he's in the news this week, speaking with Collider.com and giving us a little bit of an update, Stuart, in regards to how things are coming along. After big creative overhaul, Prime Video's God of War adaptation finally gets a promising update. This is an exclusive. At San Diego Comic-Con, Ronald D. Moore talked about it, saying, we're in the scripts phase. We're still working on scripts. It's going very well. We've got a good team. It's been a fascinating thing to sink my teeth into. I've never done an adaptation of a video game, and the deeper I got into it, the more impressed I was with the breadth and the depth of the mythology that's involved in this video game. More best known for Battlestar Galactica, Outlander, and For All Mankind, was particularly struck by the level of detail behind the God of War franchise, even crediting the game director Cory Barlog for building such a rich world. He says Cory Barlog is a genius. That's not a word I throw around very much, but I've had several meetings with Cory, and you ask Cory, well, tell me about the backstory of this or how this works, and he could just talk because he holds it all in his head. And I usually pride myself about, as a showrunner, I can hold the season in my head. I know what the 10 episodes are. I can tell you all about them. Cory can tell you the whole thing in every possible way, all the mythology, how it connects one thing to the other, what the puzzles were, why they did this, and what that artifact did. It's really impressive. I mean, it's like a gigantic novel, even bigger than the Outlander novels, which is a lot to digest. Moore also made it clear that God of War won't be frame by frame remake of the 2018 game, but it won't stray too far either. He says this world and this universe are really rich and it's interesting. It's really been fun to adapt. It's an adaptation, so it's an adaptation slash interpretation as you go into live action, and it's been really fun to sort of go, wow, there's a lot here we can play with. Okay, we want to keep the story, we want to keep the characters and the spirit of it. There's all the stuff that you can keep turning to for inspiration. It's really been interesting. It says Amazon also reportedly ordered 2 seasons of the series up front, but when asked how far the writing room is planning ahead, Moore emphasizes staying focused one step at a time. He says, where'd it go? He says, I personally never try to get too far ahead of myself, whether it's Galactica or Outlander or this. I try to just say, our job for now is to get from here to here. Let's just get from here to here, and let's not worry too much about what the next season or next 3 seasons are going to be. So we don't really talk about that really honestly at all at this point. As far as when we'll see the series, more confirmed it wouldn't be happening until 2022 at the very earliest, saying he didn't know when they would film before adding not this year and saying we shall see when asked if it would be in 2026. So no word yet as to when God of War gets in front of cameras or even starts casting, honestly. But it seems as though they are in the thick of things, Stuart, when it comes to writing the scripts for it. I will say again, as somebody who doesn't necessarily play God of War outside of the first video game, I'm loving everything that I'm hearing from Ronald D. Moore. Anytime that you can get the showrunner that sits next to the creative director behind the video games or the person that created the character for the games or the storyteller, I think you're in good hands. The idea that Ronald D. Moore already is used to adapting things that have big mythology and lore, whether that be Battlestar Galactica. He clearly adapted the novels for the Outlander stuff, which he talks about was a lot to decipher and break down also. So he definitely has the ability to work in this setting where there is so much lore, mythology set up, and world building for him to kind of do. So the fact that he's just as fascinated and interested in this world to the point of, um, you know, um, asking the creator or asking the video game director all these detailed questions and information shows me that he's really kind of invested in getting this right. And I don't necessarily need this to be frame by frame adaptation, but I think if Ronald D. Moore is good at anything, it definitely is bringing these worlds to live action and making them feel very much lived in on the small screen. So I'm loving everything that I'm hearing from Ronald D. Moore. I think in past interviews I've heard him say he hasn't played the video game himself, but that he has watched all the cutscenes and things like that and story beats. I think he might have attempted to play the game, but I think he says he's more of an Atari guy and more of like an arcade guy himself, sort of thing. And video games have just changed over the years, so I can't blame him if picking up a controller is a little bit on the difficult side for an older man like himself. But I think he's doing all the other work that you would want somebody to kind of do in bringing this to life. And I'm glad that he seemingly is taking it serious, Stuart.
Yeah, I think that was actually my biggest concern the last time we talked about this, was the confirmation that he had never actually played any of the God of War games. That was my big worry. But like seeing how much he's been really talking with the original creator of the game, and it seems like he's really, delving deep into the lore. Like he does understand the game, even if he hasn't played it. He does understand the story and lore that goes into it. So to me, I have no issues with him directing it. Like again, I was concerned at first, but now like kind of seeing like how he's going out of his way to learn about the source material, I think I think that's really cool of him. My one thing that I'm like a little bit disappointed by, but not surprised, I should emphasize, definitely not surprised, is that they're going to be which which I guess I'm sure some people already knew. It seems like they are adapting the 2018 game, which was a great game. I love both that one, and then I actually haven't played Ragnarok, which was the sequel to the 2018 game, but they're both great games. It's just that, man, the PlayStation 2 games back when it was back when it was Greek mythology before they switched to Norse mythology, the Greek mythology versions of God of War, those have a special place in my heart just because I played them when they were new and when I was really young on the PlayStation 2. And man, those cutscenes were freaking phenomenal for their time. I mean, they still look
they're epic.
incredible today.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those were my God of War games. And then I really like the don't get me wrong, I really like the new versions of God of War, which is kind of a sequel reboot version of the Kratos and everything. And I like those. I was just kind of hoping we would build to that rather than starting from there. But that being said, I'm still looking forward to the show, and I'm sure we'll get like his days killing the Greek gods. I'm sure we'll get those in flashbacks or something. I am very curious if we do get those, who they're going to cast as Zeus, because man, I can't remember who voiced him in the game, but damn, he gave such an epic voice performance.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I agree with you. I'm really looking forward to this, man. Amazon Prime is just picking up IP after IP, whether it be like classic 80s 19 cartoons being adapted into live action or video game stuff. Amazon Prime is very much becoming like the forefront of all those series. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. But let us know your thoughts, guys. Ronald D. Moore talks a little bit about putting the scripts together for God of War, his collaborative effort with the creative director of God of War to go ahead and bring the stuff to life, pick his brain a little bit. But no word yet in regards to when filming begins, but pre-production is fully on its way. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic, or I'll put up actually some comments here real quick. I'm not excited for God of War TV show because I already love the game story. That scene, it repeated, just doesn't work for me. It's the same thing with the Last of Us TV show. I understand why people love and appreciate it for expanding the fandom, but for me, why would I watch the same story repeated? Understandable.
That's totally fair.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I won't go out of my way to watch it, but I hope it's good. And if it is, then I'll introduce it to my dad and see if he likes it. He says, you need to play Ragnarok, Stuart. It's not only a great sequel, but a great conclusion to the Kratos story.
Conclusion? Oh, I thought there were more after this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. All right, guys, with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic as we visit the world of James Bond. Amazon has been quick.
Sorry, I was trying to do the thing.
Quick. No, you're good. Amazon has been really quick moving with this, as they have been doing their best to get all the pieces in place for a brand new 007 movie. I'm sure they're also expanding and exploring the idea of spin-offs and television series and future movies. But as of right now, it's all about getting that first movie kicked off. A couple of weeks ago, they did in fact announce that they found their director, none other than big time name Denis Villeneuve, who's coming fresh off of Blade Runner 2049. He also did the Dune movies, currently doing a third Dune film as well. His resume is certainly unmatched. Definitely a prestigious director up there with Christopher Nolan these days. Denis Villeneuve is getting an opportunity to tackle a James Bond movie. So we have the director in play, and Stuart, we officially have a writer announced as of today. This comes to us from Amazon MGM Studios themselves. Also, Variety is reporting that Peaky Blinders writer Stephen Knight has in fact been picked up to be the writer for the next James Bond movie. According to Variety, it says Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight has been hired to pen the script for the upcoming James Bond movie. Amy Pascal and David Heyman are producing the new 007 movie. Knight is best known as a creator, executive producer, and writer for Peaky Blinders. And for those of you who are familiar with Stephen Knight's name, he recently just took a stab at writing the Star Wars New Jedi Order Rey Skywalker movie that is currently on the back burner. He took a stab at it as of recently. But yeah, so we got Denis Villeneuve along with Stephen Knight set to go ahead and give us the new movie. It says development on the new Bond installment has been a high priority for Amazon since acquiring MGM. So we got all the pieces now in place, Stuart, for a James Bond movie to actually be made. So yeah, Amazon is not playing around. Any initial thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like I'm definitely looking forward to it. I don't know much about. I'm looking through Stephen Knight's IMDb, and I don't think I've seen too many of his movies. But in terms of who they got to direct it, yeah, like I don't think he has made a single bad movie in his career. So and you know, it's so funny because I'm so used to seeing him do sci-fi epics. So it'd be so cool to see him kind of go, you know, into a completely different realm in the world of spy espionage. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how it all turns out. I hope with it being owned by Amazon, I mean, I'm sure it won't, but I hope they don't put it like straight to Amazon and don't release it in theaters. Like I'm sure that won't be the case, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no, I fully expect this to be in theaters for sure. I would be hella surprised. The same Voltron, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Let's see here. There was another article here from Stephen Knight from the Hollywood Reporter. Writer Stephen Knight teases his plans for James Bond. So he did speak out. He says, "It's always been on my bucket list, and it's fantastic to be invited to do it. I can't wait to get started. I'm hoping that being a Bond fan for so many years, it will be imbued into me, and I will be able to produce something that's the same but different and better, stronger, and bolder." When asked about who could be tapped to take on the role, he says that is a very, very good question and one I can't give you an answer to. Knight's involvement came when he was invited for a meeting with producer Amy Pascal, but wasn't told why. He says, I very quickly discovered what it was about and became very excited and hopeful. And then the process is you do some meetings, you discuss some ideas, and then you find out you've got it. I found out a while ago, but it was announced last night, which is great. Knight agreed it was a high pressure job, but added, you've just got to do what you do it as well as you can. So yeah, it's always a great way to approach being something that seems maybe a little bit bigger than yourself at times. But you know, first off, kudos to him, man. He seems like he's a really big James Bond fan, something that he's been looking forward to doing for his whole life, and now he finally gets that opportunity to do it. I'm always fascinated with people that are big fans of a franchise coming in, and now you have to actually write the story. So I'm sure that is certainly added pressure on him that he's got to experience, but hopefully he doesn't freeze up in this moment, right? Like he's got some really great writing when it comes to Peaky Blinders. I think he's going to take that same sentiment and those same ideas over to James Bond. And yeah, I think this is a really great pickup for Amazon. I think they've got two really great people that I think are going to work really well together in Denis Villeneuve along with Stephen Knight here. So now that they've got these two pieces in place, all they're really doing right now, I think, is pounding away at the script, coming up with some ideas. Clearly, they're gonna, he says he can't say it now, but as far as like casting in regards to who James Bond is going to be, I'm sure once the script gets fleshed out a little bit more, they'll probably have an idea of what they're looking for in regards to casting. And I'm sure pre-production is going to be underway, whether that be set designing, start getting some of your pre-visuals ready for your visual effects and your special effects and things like that. So now that a director and a writer are on board, this is where you get your key vision for what you want your James Bond to be. The fact that he had to pitch a story to them and they found one that was really going to work. I definitely expect pre-production to go into full swing here. I don't know if there'll be time to say pictures will be up and running by the end of this year. I definitely do think by first quarter of 2026, probably before March sometime. But yeah, this is everything that Amazon certainly needs to begin their James Bond franchise, and I think they've picked up two incredible pieces in regards to the director and the writer right now.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think next James Bond it's going to be Adam Sandler for sure. I think they confirmed it.
We'll see. We'll see. And then last but not least, we'll try and get through this last one relatively quickly. It is a really long article, but I'm not going to read the really long article all the way through simply because there's just so much to go through. But one of the films that I am really excited about for next year, or is it this year? I think it's this year. I'll find out in the article when we read it. Is going to be Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I am actually kind of surprised that this is going to be a Netflix original movie or a Netflix movie. I feel like you say Guillermo del Toro is doing a movie, it's almost like it's made for the big screen. So I'm kind of surprised that it's going to be going to the small screen. I know sometimes Netflix does tend to make exceptions and maybe have, like, I think they're doing it for like Ryan Johnson's Knives Out, where you might get like a 1 week or I think it might be a 1 week theatrical release of the film. I'm kind of hoping they do the same thing for this Frankenstein movie, because the more and more I see of it, Stuart, the more excited I get. And this week, Vanity Fair has a really big and bold article highlighting it, saying, "Behold the creature," introducing Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein's monster, as we get some exclusive first image looks here as to what's to come. I'm going to go ahead and read some from the article, and as I go through, I'm going to bring up some of the photos, the exclusive images that they have in here. Amid the death and decay, Guillermo del Toro is making the movie of a lifetime. He has yearned to put his own stamp on Frankenstein for as long as he's been making films, but there's a moment when he feared time would run out fast. He says, "I've been doing movies for 30 years. I'm not going to be living for another 30 years, I don't think." Who's now 60 years old. Frankenstein is his bucket list film, a passion project that struggled to find a patron. Everybody said no, Del Toro says, shaking his head. It's a pattern that has persisted throughout his career. Generate an epic, offbeat idea that's resoundingly rejected by Hollywood, then wait a few years. Finally, a risk-taking executive will say yes, and a modern classic will be born. That sounds like the road for Guillermo del Toro, for sure. From the 2006 Pan's Labyrinth, that earned him his first Oscar nomination. He won Best Director and Best Picture in 2017 for The Shape of Water. And then more recently, he collected Best Animated Feature for the stop motion Pinocchio. I didn't know he won for Pinocchio too. In each case, Del Toro refused to bend. He would rather not have made these films than make them with compromises. Finally, Netflix greenlit his operatic spin on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel. The finished movie will debut in streaming services in November. Stuart, can I just say, I find it blasphemous that Del Toro has to struggle to even find a studio to make the movies that he makes. I mean, uh, whatever Del Toro tends to touch kind of turns to gold. I mean, they have a great list of movies that they announced that all went on to do really, really great things. Um, so at this point, why are we even doubting? Like, if Guillermo del Toro wants to make a movie, why aren't studios just saying yes, sir, whatever you want, sir? I'm surprised.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I'm like thinking if I was like from the perspective of a studio executive, if anything, if I was a studio executive and like my boss was like, we need a Frankenstein movie, Guillermo del Toro is the first name that would have popped in my head. So with all the Frankenstein movies we've had in the past, I'm surprised he's never been the one that they approach for those.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated. It blows my mind that he doesn't get more work than he does. And this also talks a little bit about directing Oscar Isaac. Um, Dr. Victor Frankenstein's laboratory resides within the ornate cistern of a 18th century water tower. Four immense columns of green corrugated glass reached upward towards the chamber's stone arches. Against the back wall, a stone sculpture of Medusa that once flooded this tower with water now gazes down in blank-eyed horror at the abominations the not-so-good doctor is perpetrating. He says, I'm an archaeologist that creates his own ruins, as well as what Del Toro says, as Oscar Isaac gets to work making the body that Del Toro describes as a quilt. The director urges him not to be delicate. Bone surgery is a lot like carpentry, Del Toro says. They call it traumatology because it causes such trauma. Somebody coming in with a box of tools. It says Oscar Isaac, clad in red gloves. He says he smiles behind sweaty hair and dangles down over his face. I think instead of calling myself an actor, I'm going to introduce myself as a traumatologist, is what he says. Here's some more images of Oscar Isaac as a part of this. Oscar plays the ethically challenged scientist as part surgeon, part mechanic. Grab the screwdriver, Del Toro tells the actor as Dr. Frankenstein fastens a lower leg onto a knee joint. You could pretend that there's a screw. Yeah, there's so many new images here. I highly recommend that you guys check this stuff out for yourself. I don't want to read the entirety of the full article, but before I would have pre-read this if I was still on my laptop and highlighted some of the moments that I wanted to talk about, but because I'm on another computer, doesn't give me that option. Let's see here. Del Toro's Frankenstein delves into the aspects sometimes overlooked by readers of Mary Shelley's classic. Her book, subtitled "The Modern Prometheus," is often seen as a warning about heedless science. But Del Toro uses Shelley's tale of grim resurrection to dramatize toxic family dynamics. It's parents and children, oh Lord, he says, fathers and sons particularly. It says it's a theme that Del Toro has visited before. These are the parallels between Pinocchio and Frankenstein. It's the idea of a person going from a baby to a human being in a short span of time and being exposed to everything: cold, warmth, violence, love, loss, and then going to his creator and to say, why? Why did you put me here? Why didn't you give me the answers? What do I have to learn in my suffering? Um, in the decades that has been rifing his script, the writer-director also drew upon his Roman Catholic background. It's no incident that the table on which the monster is born rises up to his arms spread as through a crucifix. Job is saying to God, why do bad things happen to good people? And God is answering very, very biblically, who the F are you going to ask me a question? I gotta say, one of the things that does fascinate me, Stuart, I'm glad that he brought up like the family dynamics of this. I think this is almost true for like just bringing children into the world also. This idea of like bringing a kid into sort of like this messed up world, and this kid having to learn as they get older one, my parents aren't perfect, they make mistakes, the world isn't perfect, being bullied as a young kid, having to kind of navigate life and adapt in order to kind of survive or make friends, or whatever the case may be. So imagine having to experience and learn life in like 21 years. But in the case of Frankenstein, all of that stuff having to be learned in such a short amount of time, very quickly, right? Like even watching things like Creature Commandos, like seeing him bring like the bride to life, and then the first thing that she experiences is like the horrific face of Frankenstein. Like to think that that's the world that like you're being brought into, and like that's all that and you experience for the first time. There is a lot of horror elements in that, in the sense of family dynamics, experiencing things in life as adults, but yet having had experience all of that in such a small amount of time has got to be horrific in and of itself. You know what I mean? Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I think kind of similar to the creature commando themes that they explored with that. You're going to see that definitely in the Guillermo del Toro movie. But yeah, I'm surprised of how much more we're getting in this, and it kind of what I kind of look forward to it is that I'm sure it'll be a great story in between before we get to like kind of the monster stuff. But what I love about movies that do this kind of stuff is kind of like the build up. The more we have going on outside of the horror aspect, the more it kind of just really builds up to like making everything just that much more epic when we finally get there. I love seeing Oscar. I did not know that Oscar Isaac was playing Dr. Frankenstein in this movie. That's going to be so cool. And then I assume that's Jacob Elordi as the monster, right?
Yeah, that's him.
That's awesome. I love like because you get some actors that are like usually the typical Hollywood good looking actors, and once they get that reputation, they usually don't want to like change that. So I love how despite him being Jacob Elordi, the current Hollywood sex symbol, he's still down to do roles like Frankenstein. He's like, yeah, put me in all that monster makeup. So I look forward, and I love that we only get like kind of a glimpse here. I look forward to seeing like what the whole thing's going to look like, because Guillermo del Toro knows how to do visuals. And one thing that Frankenstein has always been like memorable for in terms of film, not in terms of the book, but it's always been visuals. Like every time we've had like a Frankenstein like kind of adaptation back in the day, like there was always something very unique of what they did visually, especially like I think it was like kind of the first movie that utilized oh god, I forgot what they're called, but those kind of like metal devices that like kind of show visual electricity. I forgot what those are called, but yeah, I think Frankenstein was like one of the first movies to utilize that as like part of a set piece in a lab, and that's what kind of gave it that real sci-fi kind of edge to it. So yeah, like I'm excited again. Like it's so weird that this was something Guillermo del Toro had to convince people to let him do. Because again, if it were me, like give this man money, let him make a freaking like he tells me he wants to make a horror movie. I'll give him a freaking blank check.
Give this man whatever he wants. Marcelina says, how come you're excited for del Toro's Frankenstein, since Frankenstein is not a big draw for audience and some see it as a generic monster movie? It's because Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Had you told me anybody else was gonna make a Frankenstein movie, I probably would not care so much. Although Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride that she's making is another one that, yes, maybe a lot of audiences may not know about it, but for me, it's a lot of the times who the creators are that are handling the IP that will guarantee my level of excitement. And so you say monster movie, if there's anybody that can do a monster movie better than anybody else, it's Guillermo del Toro in that sense. From Shape of Water to Pan's Labyrinth, I mean, and I think thematically too, while some people may see it as another generic monster movie, I leave it up to people like del Toro to sink their teeth into those generic monster movies and really pull out great themes that ring true and still make them ring true today, despite how old some of those themes certainly might be, or finding new themes that hasn't necessarily been explored before in monster movies. But yeah, I just love his aesthetic. I love his vision. So when you say Del Toro and Frankenstein, what gets me excited is the Del Toro's name attached to it. That's for sure.
Yes. And I don't know, like I wouldn't call Frankenstein, I mean, it depends on your definition of generic, but I wouldn't call him a generic horror villain. Like I think that there's always usually good story to tell with a character like him. I mean, I think that like we've had some good recently in the last couple of years, though not directly Frankenstein movies, very much kind of Frankenstein-esque films like Lisa Frankenstein and then Poor Things with Emma Stone. Both have been pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't check out Lisa Frankenstein, if that's who he's referring to in his question. How about the Frankenstein movie that starred Catherine Newton that came out last year? I'm trying to remember if I heard about Lisa Frankenstein before. I don't know who the creators behind it was, but it definitely wasn't on my radar.
I think it was directed by Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot. But yeah, it's all about the creators. If the creators seem fascinating to me, then I'll definitely give it a shot. But I'm not too familiar with Lisa Frankenstein. But maybe I'll check it out now. Appreciate you bringing it up, Marcelino. All right, guys. With that out of the way, I know you said you had to leave early, Stuart. Do I have you for a few more minutes to tackle some questions, or are you gonna bounce?
I can stick around for another 15.
Okay, cool. So now that we've gotten all of our main topics out of the way, I think you guys know what time it is.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into some live viewer questions for you guys today. Let me see if I can. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that over to this. If you guys ever want to send or submit a live viewer question over, just go over to our YouTube channel, A+ Hero Report, click on the post tab, and voila. Every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will go ahead and post live viewer questions for you guys. And here they are. Let's see. I don't think I can see Jessica Fryman's. I got a different setup here, so I apologize, Jessica, if we can't see yours. Who would you like to see cast in the new Captain Planet and the Planeteer series or movie? Because I think it's going to be a movie. Or no, it's a television series. And do you think Supergirl will also be a big hit at the box office as Superman was? And which DC character would you like James Gunn to add to his new DCU next? Any casting choices for Captain Planet, Stuart? Have we thought this far ahead?
I
don't know why the first person that came to mind when I thought about it was Austin Butler, the guy that played Elvis. I don't know why. I think he's got the physique for it. I just don't know if he would actually do like a television series at this point in his career. I know Glenn Powell has thrown his name out there before if it was a movie, but based off of this being a Berlanti production now, I don't know if they would do that.
I know this won't happen because I think he's kind of busy with other projects, especially now that he's doing now that he's gotten back into wrestling. But John Cena, I think, would be pretty funny to see as Captain Planet.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that would be interesting. I'm trying to think of another small time, not another, but a small time actor that might take up the role. Give me Dacre Montgomery from Power Rangers. I'll take him. Do I think Supergirl will be a big hit at the box office? Yes, I do. I think it's got, well, you got the momentum of Superman behind you, really well received. I love the DC universe that James Gunn has wound up building. The cameo, I think, for Supergirl at the end in her rough house playing with Crypto, I think won a lot of people over in regards to like personality traits immediately established. And now she's going to be finding herself on her own adventure. I think if the marketing team can do what they did with Superman, but also suggest, like, they may be cousins, but they're not the same person. You bring in Jason Momoa as Lobo. You have some great marketing. I think this movie, quality wise, could legit be better than Superman and probably make a little bit more money at the box office than Superman. Maybe. I think if there is anything that could hold Supergirl back, it's just the name recognition, just because Superman is more popular. But I would think that people who saw Superman would then be more willing to go back to the movie theaters for another DCU installment if they liked what they saw in Superman. So I do expect Supergirl to be another success.
Yeah. I not sure if it'll do Superman numbers. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if it did more than Superman numbers. But yeah, I have zero doubt that it's going to be a success. A lot of people seem to really be excited with her cameo at the very end of Superman. And plus, I mean, like, Millie Alcock, she's got that Game of Thrones fame going her way. So I feel like you've already won over the Game of Thrones fans, like, just from that casting alone. Yeah, I think it's going to be a success.
Which DC character would you like James Gunn to add to his DCU next? I was thinking about this the other day. I really want Zatanna, man.
Dude, she just read my mind.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day, Zatanna, because I do want that key to the world of magic. And I feel like we've utilized John Constantine for such a long time to be that intro into that world. I really want a Zatanna, man. I really need her.
Yeah. Zatanna's my number one choice too, but since you already picked it, I'm going to go with I would really love to see the Question
Ooh,
in the DC universe at some point in the future.
I like that. I like that. Marcelino's, I don't have. I'm gonna have to pull up Marcelino's. It won't let me read more for his for some reason.
Ooh, okay, sorry. I should have brought this up during my honorable mention, but I only just now remembered it. So apparently there was a meeting recently with James Gunn and Ryan Coogler. So the question is, what movie
Oh,
they might be that he might have been like trying to pitch to Ryan Coogler to direct. I have an idea of what I think he should do. I think Ryan Coogler should do a Jonah Hex movie, and specifically because of In Sinners, he's really shown how great he is at doing time period films, and like how he puts in the work to like do research for like the time period and everything like that to make sure the aesthetic works. I kind of want to see him do Jonah Hex.
interesting. I like it. I like it. I would be down for that. Yeah, I don't know what I would have Ryan Coogler do. Whatever he wants to do, I'd give it to him. Maybe he can do the Mr. Terrific movie.
Oh, hell yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, let him do the Terrifics or something. Marcelino, one thing that has been irritating Star Wars fans, especially since the sequel trilogy fans, is that Lucasfilm seems to be catering to prequel fans. The Mandalorian was built on the Mandalorian culture that was established in the Clone Wars. Bad Batch is a sequel to the Clone Wars. Prequel characters like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka have received live action shows. 5 out of 6 characters on Tales are prequel characters, and the recent Darth Maul show felt unnecessary. For some, Maul had completed character arc in both Clone Wars and Rebels. Not everyone has been catered to the prequel fans like Andor and Skeleton Crew, but the problem is that there's no balance. The Rey movie being constantly delayed, and sequel content is being relegated outside of books and comics. Lucasfilm could just make a new animated series set in the sequel era. focusing on ideas like what the role of the Jedi are after they were involved in 3 galactic wars. How does Rey rebuild the Jedi Order? New political battles. What happens to the First Order followers who survived the war, etc.? They could make an anthology in the veins of Clone Wars if they wanted to, but it's not just the lack of content recently. Revenge of the Sith was re-released in theaters for the 20th anniversary, but it's also the year where The Force Awakens will turn 10 years old, and the sequel trilogy fans wanted to be re-released in theaters, but Lucasfilm hasn't provided any word if they will, and no one outside of the sequel fans have been speculating if they will release it or not. Not even Toxic fans are speculating. So what do you take from this?
Like, I kind of see what you mean in terms of, yeah, them kind of catering more towards the prequel, but I think it's less about the prequels and more about the Clone Wars, because I feel like that's the kind of fan base they're going towards. I would, however, disagree with the Mandalorian catering to prequel fans, because even though they bring up elements from the prequels, I think that that's more for the original trilogy fans, or mixture of old trilogy fans and new fans, like not any specific trilogy. I feel like The Mandalorian was a show made to bring in new Star Wars fans just in general. But I definitely see what you mean with the imbalance, especially like, with everything kind of taking place now, or everything like, being relevant to that like kind of era within the Star Wars universe. I don't know why. But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't really have any opinions on whether or not that's good or bad at this moment. I think if I had to assume why, it's just because Disney just doesn't have any idea of what they want to do, like in terms of the timeline post sequel trilogy at this moment. Like, I know they keep planning on different movies like the Rey standalone film, but then that keeps getting axed. So I don't know. I think it's just because like no one in the writers' room can decide what they want the future Star Wars to look like. So they're going back to familiar territory where it's like all you got to do is tell a good story. You don't have to worry about world building because the world is already built for you.
Yeah, I find this interesting for Lucasfilm for a couple of reasons. I mean, Lucasfilm is already so expansive. I mean, we're about to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Wars already this year, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and or maybe it's in 2027. I'm sorry. I think 2027 is the 50th anniversary. Maybe I'm wrong. But we're already crossing generations, I'm sure as Lucasfilm it's got to be difficult to balance content for original trilogy people, prequel trilogy people, and sequel trilogy people. I think the only pushback I would have against what Marcelino says is I would agree with you, Stuart, in regards to I don't necessarily know if the Mandalorian is based off of just because of the Mandalorian during the Clone Wars stuff. It felt Mandalorian for me always felt very much like a combination and the bringing of the original and prequels kind of together for me. But everything else, I think there is some truth to that. But I think the reason why they focus on the prequels right now is just because those people that experience the prequels are much more coming of age now. Not coming of age, but like their voices are much more prevalent and heard right now that we're 20 years kind of into it, and we've had sort of such a long period of time where people disregarded the prequel trilogy, talked bad about them, but now that we're in a much more positive light, it's like, those people that enjoyed the prequels are now, I don't want to say the ones that are in charge, but are probably the more prominent ones in the fan base right now. So you got to deliver for those people that were big fans now that it's the prequels have become a little bit more positive. Whereas I think, yes, it's taken us a while to focus on the sequel stuff. I think we're getting to that point. I think because of the way that the sequels were so talked down about, I think Lucasfilm wanted to take some time to separate themselves from them a little bit. But now all the movies that are coming out seemingly tend to be, with the exception of the Dawn of the Jedi, tend to be um the stuff that's taking place after Rise of Skywalker. So there is a shift that's kind of taking place. I think we've just taken so long to get here because, one, there's just so many different generations to please, and I think positive word of mouth for the prequel stuff has been rising, and bad word of mouth for the sequels have been rising. So you've kind of got to take what you can and maneuver around it. And I think they're now just getting to a place where, all right, I would agree with you. There needs to be a writer's room. Like, if there's not a writer's room like there was for the High Republic initiative to build off a whole entire era and understand moments in time that are going to happen and have that all planned out. I know it's not writing for novels, but you should have a writer's room for the era after the rise of the Skywalker to kind of come up with these pieces. And I'm hoping the inclusion of people like a Sean Levy and a Simon Kinberg, I'm hoping that that's what they're doing behind the scenes and not telling us. But it does feel like we are making that course correction to where more sequel stuff will start to come out now. Because look, they still need to fill in that 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And then now you also got to fill in the gaps after Rise. So there's plenty more opportunity, but I do hope that they start making that shift more, like Marcelino is certainly asking for. It needs to happen.
Definitely.
He also says, are you interested in watching any kids shows or movies that don't relate to Marvel or DC or Star Wars? For example, do you do any of the shows like Foster's Home, For Imaginary Friends, The Owl House, Amphibia, Gravity Falls, Fire Breather, Netflix's She-Ra, Camp Laszlo, Ed, and Eddie, My Gym's Partner? He just goes on and on. I mean, the list is crazy. Yeah. But are you into any of those Girl Meets World? Are you into any kids TV or movies, Stuart?
Well, a lot of the ones that he listed are ones that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid, like Foster's, Ed, and Eddie. The other ones, yeah, there were some that I definitely watched as an adult, like that. Again, also ones that he listed: Amphibia, Owl House, and Gravity Falls was another great one. So honestly, it's like for a kid show, for me to go out of my way to watch it, I have to hear good word of mouth. I'm not just going to check out every new kid show that like comes out, obviously. But if I hear really good word of mouth, I'll check it out. And if I like what I see, I'll finish it. And yeah, there are definitely a lot of kid shows. Like I think that kid shows honestly I don't know if it's because they go up in quality more and more every year, or if it's because like when you watch kid shows and as an adult, you get a perspective that you never had on them before. You only saw what the kid shows were catering to when you were younger. But then when you get older, you're like, oh, so there was some subtlety in here that I never noticed or something like that. But yeah, like watching shows like like the most recent ones I can think of that I watched all the way through were like Amphibia and Owl House, were both like great animated shows. Like if you like isekais, those are definitely they're basically American isekais. And then also this is funny because this is like the age range this show is made for is like for like little kids, like 4-year-olds, and yet I freaking love Bluey. Like I'll like my fiance will just like put that on every now and then, and anytime she does, like I'll watch it with her. It's like it's like you at least have the excuse that you have a kid. We don't even have kids and we're enjoying Bluey. Like how weird is that? So yes, to answer your question, Marcelino, yeah, there are kid shows. As long as word of mouth gets to me, I'll check them out most of the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. It's not really on my radar, but if word of mouth gets to me, I might check it out. Like some of the shows that he's posted on here, I have seen like Thundercats 2011, Bridge of Terabithia. I haven't watched Jurassic World Camp Creations. There are a couple things on here that he's brought up that I've like Wizards of Waverly Place that I've watched. That's So Raven. But at some point in time, they do get past my age range, and I only will watch them once they become like really like word of mouth or really well received. And then sometimes, yeah, I find myself on board with them. Like, yeah, I probably watch a little bit more kid stuff now, just because I've got a kid myself. So like the Bluey stuff I was introduced to because of the fact that I had a kid. But I probably low key would probably watch Bluey anyway, just because they're short episodes, really digestible. They're really adorable and have really great themes to them. But yeah, I mean, so I'm not opposed to it. It's just because I already consume so much content. They're usually like the last things that I consume, unless
Mhm.
it's really recommended to me. Um, and then last question from him. Here's something I noticed a lot. Anytime Supergirl appears in something, many people instantly say that it's better than the CW one. They say that Supergirl in animation, voiced by Meg Donnelly and others. Same thing by Supergirl from Smallville, played by Laura Vandervoort. Supergirl from Injustice, Sasha Kaye, Supergirl. Already saying Millie Alcock, Supergirl are better than Melissa Benoist. This is because they all actually feel like Supergirl from the comics, and that the character feels respected by making her a jaded character and not a gender bent Clark, and that the CW version is an example of how to disrespect the character, or that the CW will always be seen as an off brand of the character, never a true adaptation. Some people don't like to refer to Melissa Benoist Supergirl as Supergirl. They only call her two things, either a gender bent Clark Kent or an Ally McBeal, but with superpowers. What do you think?
I mean, I definitely agree that she feels more like a gender bent Clark Kent, but I still wouldn't say that that doesn't make her an adaptation of Supergirl. She is her own adaptation, and it's very similar to like how Green Arrow, you know, especially in the earlier seasons, felt more like Batman than he did Arrow. Like it felt like they wanted to do a Batman show, they couldn't get the rights, so they just like basically painted Arrow on him. So I, you know, so yes, while I agree with that, I don't think that's a good argument for why it doesn't make for a good adaptation. You know, because again, we have that with Arrow, you know, feeling like a Batman adaptation, but still being a Green Arrow adaptation. So yeah, that's interesting. It's like they took my opinions that I kind of had that were very casual, like because I still like the Supergirl show as a whole. Like I watched it all the way through, but it's like someone took that opinion and decided to just be extreme about it. Just the way that Marcelino framed it, you know.
You know, so my relationship with Supergirl prior to CW show is pretty non-existent. You know, I never really picked up a lot of her comics outside of just reading her in crossover events or guest star appearances. So I don't really know what her personality traits were like. But when I watched Supergirl, I thought to myself, that feels like Supergirl to me. Um, you know, I don't know if the idea of saying two things that they call her, one being Ally McBeal, but with superpowers. I don't know if that's an insult. Ally McBeal, I think, was a really popular show back in the day. And I think that was the premise of what they were going for when they created Supergirl, was to kind of create a show like Ally McBeal, but from the perspective of a superhero. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's actually what the show I think was going for.
I think that's how they pitched it.
I think that's what the pitch was that Ally McBeal as Supergirl. So like for me, um, that just kind of worked for me, I guess. You know, I don't really know of any other iterations of Supergirl outside of maybe some of the animated stuff and what Sasha Kaye did, and those are really cool interpretations. And what Millie Alcock, Millie Alcock, Alcock, God damn it, Adam, I can't even say the damn name right. What Millie's bringing to the table, I think, is also a Supergirl story that's kind of out of the norm for Supergirl and her kind of personality. I don't know if the Woman of Tomorrow is like the de facto of like personality that Supergirl has always been, or if it is like a hot take on Supergirl. Um, so her interpretation kind of works in that regards because it is taking an element of Supergirl that's not like the basic elements of Supergirl and making it work. So I don't know. I find it a little bit disrespectful. I mean, Melissa Benoist was a great Supergirl in my eyes. People could say she's a gender bent Clark Kent all they want to, but prior to Supergirl, I never found Supergirl to be a prominent figurehead in DC that had her own established sort of like personality traits that just defined her completely separately from everybody else. It always felt like a female Superman to me. And so, you know, however they decided to do her in Supergirl, I think she did wonders. And regardless what internet people will tell you, Melissa Benoist, brought Supergirl even out to popularity. I mean, I feel
Yes.
right, like I feel like little girls wanted to be Supergirl because of Melissa Benoist and because she had such a long run on the CW. So I know, I know sometimes Twitter can be a cesspool and it can be filled with a lot of negative perspectives and point of views, but I think we should put some respect on Melissa Benoist's name in regards to what she was able to do as Supergirl for such a long period of time, for sure. That's not to take away what other people are doing, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Supergirl had this big established character lore prior to anything Melissa Benoist really did. I mean, can somebody name me like 2 popular Supergirl storylines out of her own solo series at any point in time besides her dying in Crisis on Infinite Earths? Like, I just don't think people viewed Supergirl like that, Stuart. But maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, no, I think that like Melissa Benoist is what really kind of brought Supergirl a little more towards the mainstream, or it at least gave people the idea that like, oh, this is an actual character within the DC mythos, and not just like one of those one-off characters that you see for like a comic and then they leave. It was also interesting because before she was on the CW, back when it was on like, what was it, CBS, I want to say, that the viewership was like big enough to the point where it was like there were people who don't usually watch comic book shows that were like watching it. So it is interesting that they moved it to the CW, because I think their original plan with the audience that they were originally reaching out to, it worked. And I think that's what kind of, if it stayed on CBS, I actually think that Supergirl would currently be more popular as a character than she is now. I'm not saying the show would have been better. In fact, I actually think for the network, it may have actually done a lot worse. But I think that like in terms of like how audiences to see Supergirl, like she just would have been a lot more well known by people.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I haven't really followed a lot of the Supergirl comic book lore in the past, so maybe I am wrong in that regards. But you know, I think Melissa Benoist certainly held her own, did a great job.
Definitely. I unfortunately do have to take off.
Yeah, no
But
problem,
I
Stuart.
will see you next week.
Appreciate it, Stuart. Thanks, buddy.
Thank
You have a
you.
good week. I'll talk to you next weekend.
Sounds good. See you.
All right, bye. All right. My friends call me Joseph. The 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo film, directed and written by James Gunn, created a lasting legacy with its cast and crew. Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne, Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, Linda Cardellini as Velma, and Neil Fanning voice Scooby-Doo, while Scott Ennis returned to voice Scrappy Doo. The cast influence extended beyond the films. Lillard went on to voice Shaggy in the later animated series, and main cast, excluding Fanny, reprised their roles in the animated show Robot Chicken. This connection was further solidified by Robot Chicken co-creator Seth Green, who not only appeared in the Scooby-Doo sequel, but also co-starred with Geller in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's right. In a real-life twist, Prince Jr. and Geller married after meeting on the set of the first movie, solidifying film's pop culture impact. Given all the connections, what other behind-the-scene facts about the movie do you find most interesting? I had never really heard any of those facts before about the movie, outside of knowing James Gunn did direct and write that film. I mean, I feel like this guy can almost take anything and make a good movie out of it, to be quite frank with you. But all very fascinating and interesting behind the scenes facts. So thank you so much for sharing those with us. My friends call me Joseph. I'm actually looking really forward to this Netflix series. I truly am. I think they're going to do some really good things with it. Power Rangers RPM, an accidental masterpiece, apparently, according to AJ. Power Rangers RPM is widely regarded as peak of the Disney era of Power Rangers, earning praise for its dark and post-apocalyptic tone, which was a stark contrast to its light-hearted Japanese counterpart, Go-Onger, set in the domed city of Corinth, the last bastion of humanity against a world overrun by sentient machines. The season captivated audience with its mature storyline. The series also notably broke the fourth wall, with characters like Dr. K and the Rangers themselves making meta commentary about the nonsensical elements of the Power Rangers universe. This legacy of self-awareness would later be continued in seasons like Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury. The cast of RPM found continued success with Ika Darville being in Jessica Jones, and Rose McIver being in iZombie. The season's impact extended into later shows, with Gemma returning for the 25th anniversary special. The legacy of Power Rangers RPM was further cemented by its direct and indirect sequels. The main antagonist of Beast Morphers Evox was revealed to be the same Venjix from RPM, with the original voice actor reprising his role. Beast Morphers also featured guest appearances from Dr. K and Colonel Truman. Despite RPM taking place in its own separate dimensions, Beast Morphers shared several similarities with the season, even though it was set in the main MMPR dimension. These connections highlight how deeply the lore of RPM influenced the future of the franchise. Given its lasting impact on the series, do you think RPM set a new standard for what Power Rangers seasons could achieve? Absolutely. I think also just from like a original storytelling perspective, the opportunity to be able to use as much original footage as you can, writing around Sentai footage as best as you can, to making a series feel very much like its own thing. I think RPM did a fantastic job in regards to laying out the outline really for making a successful Power Ranger adaptation. Marky, what's up, Marky? While many know Mark Wahlberg as a successful actor, he rose to fame in the early 90s as the rapper Marky Mark. He has also publicly distanced himself from the controversial persona and criminal acts of his youth, even seeking forgiveness from past victims. However, Wahlberg still embraces the legacy of his biggest hit, Good Vibrations, acknowledging the fans who remember his music career. Do you think it's possible for a celebrity to truly outrun a controversial past? Oh God, no. I don't think so. I don't think so fully. No, I think you can do a lot of good deeds in this world after committing a lot of travesty. But people are always going to remember the past in some way. Like I'll take Robert Downey Jr. for instance, right? Like Robert Downey Jr. For a while was shunned in Hollywood because of his drug addiction and some of his, crimes that he wind up committing. But since then, since he became Iron Man again, some friends had tried to help him, give him some job opportunities here and there, but it really wasn't until he came back again as Iron Man that really kind of changed his life. And he's been really at the forefront for years now. But despite some of the good that he's done, despite how good of a person Robert Downey Jr. certainly seems to be, how much he's distanced himself from his past, there's always going to be people that still bring it up to some extent, whether they're comparing him to other people in Hollywood that have had rough times and then been shunned from Hollywood, but yet given opportunities. Anytime you bring up an actor or somebody that's done something bad, it feels like Robert Downey Jr.'s name gets brought up. Same thing with Johnny Depp. It is one of those things that despite how much good you try and do, there will always be people that I think will be quick to remind you of the bad things that you've kind of done in the past. So I don't know, especially if you're a celebrity and you're constantly in front of the cameras and things like that, or a microphone, I don't know if you'll ever fully get away from it. But you can you can improve it, you can heal it a little bit, but it's always going to be there. Digi, what's up, Digi? Appreciate you coming through. Digivolve. In James Gunn's new DCU, I believe Alexandria Daddario would be an excellent choice for Diana Prince, also known as a Wonder Woman. Let's see. Alexandria Daddario. Let's see. Alexandria Daddario. Female actress. She's 39 years old. Okay. Oh, yeah. I wonder how tall is she? She's from New York. All right. She was in Baywatch. She was also in San Andreas. She was in True Detective. She's been in White Lotus. Also, the Percy Jackson and the Olympians movie from 2010. How tall is she, though? Height? She's 5'8". Okay. Let's that sounds like a logical. Look, I'm still looking for an actress that's like 5'10" and up. But 5'8" ain't bad. Her talent and her charisma are well suited for the role, and her prior voice work as Lois Lane in Superman Man of Tomorrow shows her connection to the DC universe. With dedicated fitness regime, she could easily embody the Amazonian warrior. Which actress, famous or unknown, do you think would be perfect to portray Wonder Woman in the future film? You know, this is a tough one for me. For those of you who don't know who Alexandra is, let me bring this up here for you so you guys can see who she is. But that's Alexandra Daddario, 5'8", 39 years old. I don't know, maybe that's a good enough age range that they want to go for, maybe late 20s. I'm not sure how old David Corn and Sweat is, but that's who Alexandra Daddario is. You know, I don't really have a fan cast for Wonder Woman yet. I do like the fan cast that I've been seeing going around for the lady from Andor. I can never remember her name off the top of my head. I think she's like 5'7". She would be, from a performance point of view, really great. But I really do want a Wonder Woman who's like 5'10". If James Gunn can find me a Wonder Woman that's 5'10" and up, that looks like Wonder Woman and can act, I really hope that they go that route. But I'm okay. 5'7" and up, I think is okay. But I don't have anybody in mind. Peg C, what are your thoughts on James Gunn confirming that Superman 2 is already in the works? I do want to bounce off of you also, Peg C. James Gunn did clarify and say it's not quite a Superman 2. He was still referring to what he mentioned in an interview a couple of weeks prior of this being a quasi sequel. So like a past couple of interviews before, somebody asked him if he was working on a Superman sequel. He said not quite a Superman sequel, but Superman is in it. I think in recent comments, somebody asked him if he was working on a Superman 2 or Superman sequel, and I think he said yes. And people meant to take that as, oh, he's got to be working on Superman 2. James Gunn this week did come out and confirm, no, I'm not working on a Superman 2. What I was referring to as a sequel was the project that I was kind of talking about before, in the sense of like a project featuring Superman in it, but not quite necessarily a sequel. So it's not necessarily a Superman 2, but he is working on Superman returning in another bigger capacity. There's a part of me that thinks that's well, look, a part of me wants to say that's a mistake. I'm hoping and praying to God that he's not working on a world's finest, just because we literally had a quasi world's finest in Batman versus Superman. And I do not need the Snyder Bros to be like, see, he's just copying Snyder. First he does a copy and paste of Man of Steel, which it's not, but Snyder Bros will swear to God that it is. About what he did with Superman. I don't need Snyder Bros to then have more ammo to be like, see, he's just doing Batman versus Superman. So I hope it's not a world's finest, but I do hope that James Gunn is coming up with creative ways to bring us Superman again. But God knows, I just want a sequel. Like, I just want a straight up sequel, because I just don't want this DCU to go the route of the DCEU, have a couple of good movies, and then just kind of fall by the wayside, and we never get David Corn and Sweat in a true Superman sequel. So, like, please, I pray to God, James Gunn, at this point, I just need a Superman sequel, because I think some of us are tired of the reboots of Superman, whether that be Superman Returns, Man of Steel, now Superman. I just want a legit sequel at some point in time, please. Pexy, have you watched Happy Gilmore 2? If so, what did you think of the movie? Haven't had the opportunity to check it out yet. I did see some clips, though, of Eminem, Marshall Mathers, actually in the movie, which was actually pretty cool from the clip that I wind up seeing. I've heard good things about Happy Gilmore 2, but I have not had the opportunity to see it yet. Do you think the Street Fighter movie works better in live action or animation? Right now, animation. Because Street Fighter 2, the movie, the animated movie, is still one of my favorite Street Fighter projects. Live action hasn't really shown itself to be able to keep up with it. So I think a Street Fighter movie works better in animation, but I pray to God that they make this live action one work. You know, some of the names involved, I'm a little worried about it in regards to it's clearly not taking itself serious. It feels like it's gonna lean into the campy aspects of Street Fighter a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see what they wind up giving us. But right now, animation reigns supreme. Would you like to see Spider-Man 2099 or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in live action or an animated movie? You know what? Man, um, probably Spider-Man 2099 live action. Give that to me. I wouldn't mind the idea of even Oscar Isaac coming in to play the main character for was it Miguel, I believe his name was. I can't remember the his identity, Spider-Man 2099's identity. But I would be open for a live action Spider-Man 2099. I think we were kind of teased about maybe Brand New Day being a Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. So give me Spider-Man 2099 live action. Blossom, I'm curious, why are Power Rangers seasons set in different dimensions? My Tokyo are in the same ones as MMPR through in space. Emerald Creek is about 4 hours from Angel Grove. I don't know. I that's one of the reasons that always kind of turned me off about Power Rangers back in the day for the Disney era stuff. Because I was spoiled on MMPR and in space all being set on this in the same dimension on the same world that I appreciated the connectivity of it and it really worked for me in regards to just continuing to build the legacy. But once they started doing like a Power Rangers in each of their own dimensions or not even aware of past Power Ranger teams, that always kind of irked me. But now that I'm older and they've kind of taken full advantage of that with things like in the comic books with the Shattered Grid and the Necessary Evil and the Lord Draken storylines, it's kind of actually made me appreciate the idea of Power Rangers being on their own alternate universes and dimensions, and being able to have these big climactic multiversal stories if you want to, and still being able to kind of make it work. So my mindset has kind of changed on it, but it was one of those things back in the day that always upset me. Like, why can't they all just be set in the same dimension? But I'm glad they found a way to utilize that. What's your favorite Marvel movie from the early days? Iron Man 1 is my favorite. Winter Soldier is still my favorite. That certainly has not changed. Iron Man 1 does have a special place in my heart, though. But yeah, Winter Soldier for me is still my all-time favorite. And then last couple of questions come from Doomsday today. Isn't it kind of ironic how they called it the Dino Charge Ultra Zord, even though it's made up of just the Dino Charge Megazord in the Titano Charge Megazord? Yeah, how they come up with some of their titles for their Zords, I'll never know. Speaking of Spider-Man, what do you think of the brand new day suit? Do you think it could be the greatest live action Spider-Man suit ever made? Yes, I do. I do. I think it looks great in the sense that we are very much getting back to original Spider-Man comic book iteration of the suit. It feels like it was just pulled out of the comic books. And yet at the same time, it looks like a great amalgamation of both the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit with like the raised lines and stuff, and the bigger spider on the chest from like Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. So it seems like it's a really great blend of really all three, with them really bringing out the brighter color scheme for the red and the blue, along with even the web shooters kind of on the outside. So it feels like we're finally at that point of traditional Spider-Man. And I kind of love how things came full circle for us in the sense of the first trilogy being very much his high school trilogy and him kind of getting the grasp of being of Spider-Man, then getting the opportunity to meet some of his the past Spider-Man and really formulating who Tom Holland's Peter Parker is today. Feels very appropriate that we've kind of come full circle and now we get our Spider-Man from the comics per se. But the suit looks great. I think once they start adding visual effects and a lot of the swinging and stuff, I'm expecting this to be one of the better suits. Do you think Marvel might actually be back with the Rotten Tomatoes success of the new Avengers and the Fantastic Four first steps, and with Spider-Man Brand New Day being on the horizon. So I'm not necessarily one of those people that felt like Marvel ever left. I do believe that yes, while there have been mediocre movies in there, I think there still have been some really quality projects. But I'm talking realistically. I mean, look, they're on a great swing right now. Thunderbolts successful, Fantastic Four first steps successful. And I say that in the sense of I think we as a society have become really dependent on qualifying a good movie based off of its box office potential. I think the MCU prior to Endgame really ruined us in the sense of spoiling us with like the great success that Marvel Studios has accomplished. But you have to ask yourself after that, where do you go from here? I don't necessarily know if it was ever um a reality that Marvel Studios would continue on that same path to greatness and achieve the same thing, if not more, that Endgame was able to. I feel like that was such a cinematic moment in history that'll never be repeated. And sometimes you tend to, when you do so good, the only other way to go is down. And I say that in the sense of when you become great, there's always going to be people that are waiting for you to meet your greatness, only to start knocking you down a peg. And so I think we have become a lot more critical of Marvel movies ever since Endgame. Not to say that we shouldn't be. We want to hold them to certainly the same standards, but I would say, while yes, there were certainly some misses and some really, like I would say we've had some really bad misses. In phases 4 and 5, but we've still had some pretty good, decent, enjoyable, and yet also excellent movies all within that phase. I think we've probably just hit more bad than we've ever done leading up to things like Endgame. Not to say that the first 3 phases were perfect, because they certainly weren't, but I think the lows of phases 4 and 5 are lower than any of those before. But the good movies and the great movies are still on par with what we've gotten. I just think that we've gotten a little bit more critical of them, and they've just been around for such a long time. So, Captain America, I personally was not a big fan of. It just felt really boring and lackluster to me. If some people loved Captain America, I'm really glad that they did. But for me, the run right now for Marvel is Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, regardless of what the box office will say otherwise. When you've got critics and you've got audiences that are loving them and talking highly about them, Marvel should be taking that away from it and not necessarily worrying so much about what the end result of the box office is. If you can make quality movies, those people that saw Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four will be back to certainly see Spider-Man. And I think the idea of not moving Spider-Man, allowing Spider-Man to be where it's at, I think is going to be even more momentum, because not only did you give us 2 properties that people were not super familiar with, and the Thunderbolts, and then yet another reboot for the Fantastic Four, but now we're going into a Spider-Man movie that last we left cracked a, $1 billion, almost $2 billion, if I'm not mistaken. People love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. People will come out to see Brand New Day. It may make $1 billion just because he is quote unquote an OG and people love this Spider-Man. But then you're just having that, if that's a good movie, you're just building up that momentum into a new Avengers film. And then if the Avenger films knock it out of the park, if the Russos can prove that they are this generation's directors for comic book movies and knock it out of the park again and create more gold, then yeah, I don't know how people can say anything otherwise than Marvel really came back at the, or came back at the best opportune time. Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and 2 Avenger movies. Those could be 5 sort of epic successes when we look back in hindsight after we see something like Avengers Civil War. So it's all about momentum. And I think they've got 2 great movies under their belt if we take out box office at the end of the day. So I just think we have to stop worrying so much about what the box office is for a movie and just hope that it's a good film and that people are enjoying it. And if we look at it from that perspective, big successes for Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts, to say the least. So yeah, I do think it could be on the horizon for some great Marvel content going forward. But I think that is all of the live viewer questions. Let me just refresh this page one more time. I am going to sort this again just to be safe. Blossom got Doomsday, got everybody. Okay, yeah, we did get everybody. All right, wonderful. Well, guys, that will do it for our live episode of A Plus Hero Report. There are some comments I might... Marcelino does say it was Miguel O'Hara, 2099. Thank you for that. Also, honestly, I wouldn't mind more seasons taking place in separate universes as long as they have a reason for it. RPM being the best example, Dino Charge being the worst example. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, guys, that will do it for us. Thank you for everybody that certainly joined us here today, joined us live, especially. If you haven't hit that like button yet, please certainly do. I'm trying to see what we're going to have on the agenda for the rest of the week. I'm going to try and watch Eye of Wakanda, and then do a series or 4-episode review for you guys later on this week. So keep an eye out on that. Maybe some more movie reviews for you guys as I go to the movies this week, or maybe I will. We'll see. I'm going to try and see if I can get the girlfriend to do maybe like a horror double feature with me sometime this week or maybe next weekend. We'll see. So yeah, if anything, maybe more video shorts here on YouTube. We'll have the Eyes of Wakanda review for you guys up later this week. Maybe more movie reviews. We'll definitely be back next Sunday for another live episode of A Plus Hero Report, and any other big news or trailers that wind up dropping that we get the opportunity to do reviews on. We'll certainly keep you guys posted for. Check us out over on social media if you want to find us. We are currently over at A Plus Hero Report on TikTok at Hero Report. We got over 3,000 followers over there. I post a lot of movie trailers, behind the scenes stuff for movies, and then even some short discussion pieces here and there for you guys, more short form, 3, 4 to 5 minute type of stuff for you guys. If you want to follow us on other social media at A Plus Opinions everywhere, very active, especially over on our Facebook page, where we drop all the news throughout the week, brand new trailers, brand new posters, brand new articles, interviews, all week long. That's where we keep you posted on the Facebook page. And then we take 6 topics from there and we wrap up your weekend here on our YouTube channel. And then, yeah, anywhere else you can find us on social media at A Plus Opinions. But that will do it for us here today, guys. We'll certainly see you next week. And in the meantime, do us a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A Plus. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.